3, 2, 1, go. Three, two, one, go. Three, two, one, go.
something in his eyes. There's a storm within, but it's written in the skies. Let it break me till it's over. Won't let it shake me, no. Won't let it make me go under. Won't let it make me go under. So now it's time to fly. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Nothing's gonna stop me. No one will ever get left behind. A million more before I've tried. Let it break me till it's over. Let it shake me, no. Let it make me go under. Let it make me go under. So now it's time to fly. So now it's time to fly. Nothing's gonna stop me now. 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 Nothing's gonna stop me Nothing's gonna stop me Nothing's gonna stop me now.
It has been a gauntlet over the last few weeks to get here, battling through open qualifiers, making it round after round to be one of the top 14 teams here in our closed qualifier. However, the train stops here. Only 7 will make it on here today to the beautiful city of Riyadh in August. Welcome everybody to the European closed qualifiers for the Esports World Cup for Call of Duty Warzone. My name's Dandro. I'll be one half of the duo bringing you all the action here today. But of course, it would not be European Call of Duty Warzone without the man, the myth, the legend, my best friend, my brother, Mr. Enigma. How you doing, buddy?
I'm feeling absolutely fantastic to be sitting alongside you, my friend, as we do indeed decide the 7 teams that head on through to Riyadh. And for many of them lining up today, it's a case of, did you come this far to only come this far? Well, we're about to find out who's writing that in their storyline and who instead is booking the next chapter on through. I can't be happier to do it alongside anyone else than you, my friend.
Hey man, the qualifiers have been absolutely electric all weekend long. We have been tuning in. It has been spicy. Single points deciding whether teams are making it on or not. And I have to imagine today is not going to be any different. Teams that are participating here today, you can see them on your screen. I mentioned it, 14. Everybody had to make it through some open qualifiers to be here, my friend. We have some big names, of course, like the Gentlemates, Ninjas in Pajamas, Rock Esports. But we also have a couple of trios, my friend, who are brand new to the scene, who are looking to make their mark.
They are indeed, and you're talking about teams such as Team Swizen, this authentic Swizen and Hydra lineup. This is definitely a trio that a lot of us got our eyes on. You've managed to make it here. Very impressive debut into the space, but what do you look like when the quality of the lobby steps on up? And of course, that's not just a storyline for those 3, it's a storyline for so many, including our season trios, some of which you've mentioned there. A lot of different teams here with so much pressure on their shoulders. Some of it because it's a case of, well, are you the old guard or are you part of the new guard? Well, again, another thing that we're about to find on out, and all of these big names are going to be telling us that over these next couple of hours.
Well, guess what? You had to play 4 games all the way through the qualifiers, but today is the gauntlet. Like I mentioned, we're playing not 4, not 6, 8 games of Rebirth Island. You can see a little bit of our schedule there. We are going to be cooking through these lobbies, ladies and gentlemen. So do not go anywhere because it is going to be action-packed every single map, my friend. Reminder, folks, you're going to be gaining points through these maps by getting 1 point per elimination, and then where you end up in the lobby will give you a multiplier on those points. So you come in first in a map, it's 1.6. Second through fifth, it's that 1.4 with a sliding scale on down. So it's really, really imperative that our teams today, if they want to manage to stay in that top 7, when it comes to the final moments of that game number 8, it's all about consistency, Enigma.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistency is a key term that we use in competitive Warzone, and to add in one that factors into that a little bit is stamina. We've seen so often in the European space, we've got teams that can put up big games, sure, but it's how you look over the course of 8 that makes the difference here, not putting up a big 1 or 2. And we've already seen in several other regions, some of these squads are not getting through to Riyadh by less than half a point. So it is a case of making sure that you have no bad games, that your floor is as high as can possibly be, and at the very top end, of course, you're having those big pop-off moments. You mentioned consistency, and that average has got to be right up there to make sure you're getting on through. We've seen a couple of teams that we're expecting to make it to Riyadh falter at the final hurdle, very last map, and you don't want to be in that position when we get to the end of our run.
Nah, man, every map matters. Every single kill matters, like you said. It's easy to think like, okay, you know, we had a bad game, it's A-okay, but like you mentioned, we've seen in a couple of the other regions, it's been half a point that comes there. Literally one single kill across 8 maps would have been the difference maker between you watching at home and being on that plane to Riyadh. So hopefully all these players, when they drop on it, they are keeping that in their sights. It's been a beauty watching sort of everybody gather around, right? One of my favorite things about the European region, I know you and I love to talk about this, you know, it's really, I feel like, the true spirit of the Esports World Cup. It's all of these different nationalities, sometimes coming together, but butting heads across the way. We have obviously some English squads, French representation, Spanish, German, Italian, everybody from all across Europe is here and ready to compete to prove that they're not only the best in Europe, but that they are the best for their specific region.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. There's several players here who we've talked to coming into this. We've gotten a word in with every player that is taking part today. And some of them have turned around and said, look, I want to prove to my town, my country, my region that I am the best from where I am from, and fly that flag, show who I am on the main stage. And it's a big story for so many of these players because it means so much to them in terms of not just what that then looks like to us, but what that solidifies for them back home as well. Being the best team in France is no mean feat, my friend. Everybody in that country then looks towards you to lead them forward and represent them in the very best way, let alone when we then start talking about you as part of the whole European competition. So many things here. I love that you call it the spirit of the Esports World Cup because it certainly feels that way. It's all these different cultures coming together. But of course, today, unfortunately, we're going to have to say goodbye to half of the players. As such, I'm very much so got my eyes on a couple of those that I'd love to see make it on through for their country, but a couple of those, unfortunately, just won't be making it. And my friend, what that will do to us in terms of telling storylines when we get to Riyadh, when we get to Saudi Arabia, and everything to come through this year.
Hey, if you're in chat, let us know, who are you rooting for? What team are you hoping is able to make it through these qualifiers, through these 8 games, to be able to make it to land? Because let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's one thing to make it through these closed qualifiers. It is going to be an entirely different experience when you're sitting down at that setup in the STC arena. We've been there, and it's just as casters, man, it's daunting. I cannot imagine being some of these players sitting down and playing, and not only in front of a crowd, but knowing that you have that pressure to be able to perform for your country. But this is just the beginning here today. This is the start of something fantastic. We have seen a couple of our squads really come out swinging, have a really good time, and some of our other squads just barely making it over the leaderboard, right, to be able to get there. But we kind of were talking about it. The competition leading up to here, some of your lobbies, they might not have been the type of caliber that maybe you're used to. This is the creme de la creme, right? This is the penultimate lobby of European Warzone when it comes to Rebirth Island. And so, are you going to be able to rise to that occasion, or are you going to falter? Say the line. It's your line. I don't want to steal it from you. Pressure.
Does indeed make diamonds or burst pipes, and it's time to find out which you will be as we load into map 1 for the European Esports World Cup qualifiers, and we're starting off with none other than the Gentlemates.
Hey, fan favorites, they want to be able to come on through. Stronghold is their landing spot. They told us that they want to move from Stronghold, potentially up to the living quarters and those tense areas to be able to try to control that entire sort of southwestern side of the map. And I think it's a great strategy, taking a page out of the Falcons book for sure. But one sort of area we have to keep our eyes on, it is over here. It's prison, it's headquarters, it's grandma's. This nice little trifecta. We have 3 different teams looking to try and land in this area. One of them being Onyx Esports, who already have got off to some great starts already. Disrupt, Bubble, AB, Wiz. They're trying to be able to take this fight. They get some of these early kills. Unfortunately for them, it's a little bit spoiled by the Italians across the way.
Yeah, and this is one of the things nice and early here. It's paying attention to the third-party situation. You can think you've walked away from a fight relatively profitable, but then all of a sudden someone comes rolling in from the backside. Your resurgence window's not closed, and we'll see you exit. But keep an eye on that middle of the screen towards the top 14 out of 14. So if every squad's still in this, even if a couple of kills have indeed come on through. Move on over to Fnatic, who will have pressure coming in from Team iHeeds, and they will, for a moment, look to plate up, reset themselves here. Looking little bit misplaced here is King Chalk, and I was about to say, what are you doing? But it looks like you're trying to hit a recovery. He does manage to flee for a moment, but be cautious about how long he manages to stay alive for.
Yeah, that's one thing we've really seen about Factory, is that it doesn't look like that big of a POI, but we have seen a lot of teams be able to hang out here. Because you can see already, while Fnatic and obviously King Chalk is trying to regain here, you got the Germans down below you, Decky, Stukex, Lays. They're trying to make their way on up towards this bottom side and maybe find a little bit of a timing on Fnatic here. I mean, surprised to see Fnatic over here at Factory, because we know they usually love landing bioweapons, Enigma. This is the complete opposite side of the map. I wonder if they've come to the closed qualifiers with a different strategy. If they're trying something different to really ensure that they get the points they need to qualify, because they came into this, I think they were 8th, 9th, right, with the seed where they qualified on in. So maybe they're realizing, hey, we need more points and we're going to be into the top 7.
Yeah, I think that's a great shout. One of the things for sure is that they feel a little bit like they're not getting involved enough in the thick of the action. Either that or struggling on rotation. They're not really finding that sweet spot of both coming on through. And Patsuka, well, he'll get caught actually trying to rotate away, so we'll come back to that because, well, it could spell disaster for Fnatic. They did mention that they were looking to change things up if they think it's going to be a stronghold circle, but, well, nice and early, they've already made that call.
And look who it is on your screen. Lennon, part of Team ELF, joined by Echo and FIFA Kill. And this is sort of their strategy. This is their bread and butter. It's FIFA Kill landing sort of over towards that chemical side, and it's Lennon and Echo just really stretching on out. Echo made it very apparent to FIFA Kill. He says, I don't care if we end every single map on you on 0 kills. If you stay alive to let us run amok and be able to find the kills we need, we're going to do A-OK. And that strategy has worked for them so far. So no surprise to see them stretching out over towards that harbor side with FIFA sitting back at Chemical, really just trying to farm a lot of these squads. As Patsuka is on the boat, trying to manage to kind of look around. There's this loadout nearby. Player down below on the stairs. Great shots. LC10 rips him up. Taken on down. You almost get the turn and burn. Nice cracks onto that player, but it's just not enough. Thankfully, your teammate is here. Anxian, he's dropped onto the boat. He's trying to be able to clean this one on up and hopefully regain control there. Onyx, they moved over across the way, though, still managing to give up headquarters, but trying to look across into Grandma's.
Yeah, there was time there for Team Decky, who were under an immense amount of pressure for a moment, lost most of their players. I think the kill from Stukex will bring his boys back on in. They'll continue that scramble over towards Factory. That is the Decky landing spot, but it seems they also from there want to lay claim to Boat, which is where we often see Team Azen. So a couple of squads here falling, though. We do see 2 teams eliminated. So first squad out will be Team Lipton. I didn't actually catch who the other team was that had been eliminated at this point. Okay, Team Heat. So a squad that tends to land headquarters, and a squad that literally came into today not knowing where they would land. And you and me said about that being a risky strategy. Well, it turns out very much so. You fall early here, map 1.
And look who's kind of managed to take over across the way. Zanks, part of this Italian squad with Freddy and Blade. Looks like he's kind of left alive. And Onyx Esports down below, they're on the hunt. They can sniff out that he's in here, but you have to be careful if you are one of these players down below, because you may try and think that it's only one, but it could be 2. Great shots from Disrupt. The young gun trying to prove himself here in the closed qualifiers that he's not just a fluke, that he can be among some of the greatest in the region. Starting to work with 2 of his vets. But in the meanwhile, I'm looking at that kill feed Enigma, and I'm seeing Lays going huge with a 2-piece onto Fnatic. Dire straights there as everybody seemingly starting to kick up the pace a little bit. As Circle 2, we're on the back half of it, getting ready. You're gonna have to start moving around this map a little bit more. Get your kills while you can, because we're gonna see this lobby just absolutely go to a crawl once that resurgence timer comes to an end.
Yeah, and with a couple of important kills here, by the way, contesting against Vanitas. Both of these teams are trying to do the same thing. Fight over headquarters and get their anchor into the top tower. For Vanitas, that's Freddy. For Onyx, that's Bubble. So you're trying to get your sniper up high, protect you, and ensure your resurgence window stays on open. Right now, neither team really getting themselves into the perfect spot, continuing to bleed each other just a little bit. Move on over to Ninjas in Pajamas, who are going to be fighting here. They've rotated on up from Docks from the bunker side, and they will now be fighting Novo for Control Center.
We always know that this is a battle. Every single Esports World Cup, every single scrim, Control Center is the place that you'll find some of the most action going on. So no surprise to see 2 of those teams battling it out there. Onyx still over here on this building, trying to be able to stay alive. You saw towards the top, player raining down shots that's there, but Disrupt, Bubble, they are taking on down. Thankfully, you still got 1 player alive, just sitting up there towards the top. That's going to be AB Wiz. So for the time being, though, it does look like Vanitas, they have been able to bully Onyx sort of out of headquarters, kind of throwing them into this blender, and that is not what you want to see if you are an Onyx Esports fan.
No, not at all. Tough times for them. So much to talk about when it comes to that team, the way they've set up. Kind of caught a lot of people by surprise, even in our region. Disrupt in particular, you mentioned some of the things he's done earlier on, but being led by 2 players who want to set him up to slay out the best. It feels a little bit like that Enkyo situation from about 2 years back, but right now, we're seeing a bit of a slowing of the pace over here in the Control Center fight. It feels like Ninjas in Pajamas trying to set up that hit, and they do hit.
Nice.
Cam's going to be there to turn, burn, knocks 1 in Steve-O, trying to lead that front fight, trying to pierce on through this trio, who will send them packing and look to, again, lay claim. What I will say, Circle pulling hard towards Stronghold. That explains the Fnatic change in landing spot, but be wary of the fact that Team Azen are thinking of third party in this fight, and they try and push it, and King AJ knocks him down.
Yeah, great awareness there from AJ to kind of get the turn. It's so easy when you have your sights set on one particular team in front of you to forget, hey, where this zone is, there's going to be other teams who want to try and push on up. So AJ, we know him as the Slayer. He's the king for a reason. Walked into Esports World Cup last year and said, hey, I'm going to be top Slayer. I really want to show on out, and he definitely did when it came time for LAN. Looking to continue some of that here, but for Novo Esports, you lose Javi in the process. You're getting pushed on out of control, and just like that, one of your teammates goes on down. I'm seeing all three of these members of Ninjas in Pajamas. They're trying to put you in their sights. They want to take this team out. They would love to get a squad wipe here. Make this rotation just a little bit easier, but for the time being, Novo, they're not going to make it easy. You get your third back on in. This fight continuing to brew.
Yeah, both teams here need this in order to give themselves a clean rotation on in towards tents and then potentially stronghold, depending on where the circle pulls on off to. So you can't step out because you're worried about getting shot by the team that's still stuck around, and Vortex showing a fantastic example of that as Gentlemates try and squeeze up just a little bit, but we'll find Enki in big trouble. Steve-O knocks Cams, so a 2v2 then. Actually a 3v2 as we see players start to stack up on top of each other. Steve-O getting on the hunt, gets the crack onto Vortex. Vortex will try and flee, and that will be yet another knock. So just Blade in the deep distance here, trying to stay up and trying to keep his team in the fight.
Oh, I don't know if you can do it though. Javi here is actually able to find one, but you're able to surge on through 2 by 2, and finally, Ninjas in Pajamas, they will cut down that squad, take control of this area. That'll open up this map just a little bit for them. Enigma, give them some breathing room. This fight went on for a very long time. Okay, so you need to be able to replenish. Hopefully you can manage to hit one of these buy stations, recoup even, get some armor plates, get some ammo, do what you got to do to try and make sure that you can make it deeper on in here, because we know this zone, it's going to pull you over towards that stronghold area, and I'm kind of seeing on that mini-map, not a lot of teams tense, not a lot of players there, so maybe with that win, Ninjas in Pajamas, they've been able to kind of sort of clear the path ahead of them.
The team that's going to bank a little bit on a late rotation here is Onyx. You might need to be aware of the fact that you've got a player climbing the tower ahead of you. Rock Esports just trying to find a way to rotate in here. Everyone tries to assess what it is that they've managed to grab a hold of at this point. Okay, what's the situation looking like? What's the rotation going to be? Living quarters will be the final stand. So there's an interesting situation here for Gentlemates. They're going to have to find a way to rotate on up from Stronghold. But for Onyx, it's laying claim to this north piece of the landmass. And Disrupt will pop out to find one in vision. Then going to get after Prodigy. And oh, he's cut down. Turning to burn. And Prod does very well to at least clean that up and find himself some extra points. But Bubble there to trade it. So a 2v1. Last member of a Rock Esports in a world of trouble as Onyx hold the low ground.
Yeah, at least great job, like you mentioned, from Prodigy there to at least get that full. If he gets the down but doesn't actually get the confirmation, and if Bubble's just a little bit quicker, obviously Onyx, they could stay alive a little bit more. But for them, guess what? They're going to have control of this buy station that's not too far away from them. They need to get back on in. Resurgence timer will go ahead and be closing here soon. Coming on in, and we've seen, this is where we were watching. It's going to come down to a crawl. Fnatic have control of one building. ELF have another. You can see a couple of these squads are nearby. They don't want to have to put their head out if they don't need to for now. Padzuka already on 6. A very good start for this Fnatic roster. They can manage to get a win here with a sizable amount of kills. That'll be a great start to their day.
Yeah, it'd be a big fix-up on some of the issues we saw through closed quals. They pick up a lot of kills, but then fall really early. So it's this next phase of play here. It's when everything slows down. Can you think your way into the late game? If you're this Fnatic roster, you can see that they're a little bit itchy, a little bit jumpy at anything that might come into their building. But what they might need to do for now, considering the amount of kills, just play for multiplier. Let someone else hit you as we get a pan on over towards the Gentlemates, who, by the way, appear to be missing Hallow in this. You are indeed. So that stronghold side, it's going to be interesting to see if they can replicate the exact play that the Falcons used to win the Esports World Cup last year. A tough start as they look to push across open ground, uphill, and into stacked trios.
ELF has managed to push Onyx Esports, though, and they have been wiped off the map. So you have to kind of look at this mini-map. Everybody's trying to vie for some sort of cover here on this southern side of the zone because you have nothing else. It's all wide open spaces in front of you. So you have to manage to kind of lay claim to some sort of area, wait for where this zone potentially pull to, because we've seen in these end games where this zone goes, it can dramatically change exactly where you were trying to go ahead and push on through. Ninjas in Pajamas down here on below. We're seeing King AJ use some of these hacks on some of these sort of field upgrades and sort of lethals that are around you. trying to be able to sort of claim another team taking on out. And oh my God, Enigma. Everybody plays for this side. And guess what? It is going to be a mad dash to try and get into zone.
Well, it's just also the absolute worst timing for Wars. Hung out in gas for so long. The millisecond he decides to push on over is cut down by the Germans. And a heartbeat later, the zone pulls back to where he was. It turns into a mad scramble. ELF now mixing it with absolutely everybody. But Pentagon, Melvin, and Fuzzin are here. They have high ground. Everyone else will have to scramble beneath.
Yeah, you've managed to lose Pentagon, but you've had some high ground that's here. Fuzzin, he's the only one left alive for this team, but if he can manage to stay on up, but somebody from the other side, that's a Zakar, I believe, is able to land on through. No, that's FIFA kill. He's been able to hit through the high ground. They have the zone control right now, Enigma. Lennon, he's not. I assume will get cleaned on up by Enkyo. Is there. Hobby playing on down below, but this is just ELF raining terror from above. FIFA kill. He's taken out by Gromalok, though. Enkyo still alive from the bottom. The Gentlemates, they're trying to play from behind. Hollow is able to find Echo. They thought they had the high ground. It just wasn't enough. Gentlemates coming out swinging. They were first in the qualifiers. They're looking to be there first to punch their ticket to Riyadh.
And I am absolutely at a loss to explain how the Gentlemates recovered from the situation they were in to come out on top. They're trying to push in from Stronghold towards the zone. They lose one of their players in the process. You then see them tuck into a corner as they manage to push in towards living quarters. They just tuck into a corner, hope that everyone else is going to fight each other, bleed the lobby down a bit, and then when that has turned into a couple of splintered teams, then they can activate and try and clean up a couple. Zone pulls in the complete opposite direction from where they were, and somehow amongst the chaos, they control it and get themselves into the final fight. And the fact that you then manage to get the buy and the man coming back in cleans everything up. Gentlemates, we asked what it would be like for this team once you were put against a wall, once you had to test your resolve a little bit. Map 1 says they're not too bad when it comes to adversity.
No, hey, I mean, that's a great thing you want to see out of map number 1. It's one thing for a top caliber team like this to really make the plays we expect to really come on out, but to be tested like that zone pulled completely off their POI, and they have to play from that low ground like you mentioned. ELF, I thought they were in the perfect position, man. They were looking down to the entire zone. I think it's just a little bit of a, maybe, I don't even want to say communication error, but you got FIFA kill, he's looking down below at 10th, and I think it's just a couple of those Gentlemates players landing in behind that caused them to say, wait, which way are we supposed to be looking right now? And it's just, you know, sometimes you get caught on out. We love COD timing here in Warzone, that is for sure. But man, we have 8 games here, and game number 1 is already delivering. It's been fantastic. We're gonna go ahead, head to a short break. When we come back, we're gonna take a look at those scores, see who was able to nab those kills, get on the board, and who is struggling a little bit as we get ready for map number 2.
So now it's time to fly. So now it's time to fly. Nothing's gonna stop me now. 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 Nothing's gonna stop me now.
Welcome back, everybody, to the EU closed qualifiers for the Esports World Cup for Call of Duty Warzone. Map number 1 done and dusted, and that leaderboard is looking very, very spicy already. After one map, my man, let's go ahead. Let's take a look at it and break it all down, because we saw a number of teams have some great success, and well, for others, not a great map one.
Yeah, not a surprise to see Gentlemates top the pile after the victory. It's impressive that they recovered from that situation. We spoke about it just before the break. But it's an interesting point to note, of course, that they will not be leading the lobby when it comes to kills, because in second place, you're going to see Fnatic, who will finish just 0.4 points behind the team that won map 1. And we spoke a lot about this squad. I know you and me have privately. I know we have done in some content and all that stuff. It's a team that we're expecting a lot of things from, but they just kind of haven't really shown too much of it recently. And then we went into conversations with them, and they said, look, we're going to change our landing spot if we end up with this like stronghold side circle. They do that very early here, and it looks like it's paid off very well, because a lot of kills on the board that will give them great confidence for the rest of the day.
Yeah, no, a number of squads also there at the top. No surprise, CELF joining them just a handful of points behind those top two squads that are there. One thing that I think we got to also talk about too is that obviously we watched Ninjas in Pajamas and Novo Esports had that just battle at control. But when it all comes said and done, NIP, they actually win the POI. But when it comes to this scoreboard, Novo's currently sitting in 4th with 21 points. And Ninjas in Pajamas, they're in 8th with 13.2. So maybe, yes, Ninjas in Pajamas, they inevitably win the fight. Kind of feels like, though, Novo were definitely able to farm them a lot harder. Map number 2, though, we have to wait and see. Will this be any changes in strategy? Will we see anybody change their drop spot, move around the map? We saw that headquarters getting absolutely busy. So map number 2, let's get ready to hop on into it.
I love that you're calling out the potential changes in strategy, because that will be what we're looking for at the start of this one for sure. We've got a couple of different teams where really your circle's not super zone dependent, but your Fnatic and you know, Ninjas in Pajamas, you mentioned them there. They play this like dock bunker side, which is very much so a zone that if you have a zone pulling straight off towards harbor, then you've got a hell of a rotation to make. Do you decide to change things or rotate even quicker than you would have to normally? No more deliberating or dilly-dallying, my friend, because the plane is here and we're going the exact opposite side of the map for map 2. Codcaster, the whole circle, everything about it, throwing us a treat nice and early as we get to assess how everyone adjusts.
And we're already seeing that bioweapons aside. There's a couple teams landing there, some players landing back on that submarine. Obviously, ELF, they did a great job having to play sort of towards the opposite side of the map, but now, hey, guess what? They have zone for a while. We'll be curious to see if they can manage to absolutely light it on up. Bubble, though, will be landing over here towards headquarters. This is what we saw, and already it seems like maybe Onyx, they've been given control of headquarters already. Some of these other teams looking to back on off. Don't need to be there just yet. We can, of course, see this squad here trying to be able just to manage to look around, but Disrupt looking to try and catch some sort of timing. Great shots. He'll go down very low. You don't need to ego chow that this early on for sure. So a great play by him.
Just slow things down, taking a look at the rest of the map here. We'll say it's interesting that Fnatic go straight back on over to bioweapons, their normal landing spot, and well, it's not going very well for them over there. I'll give you a bit of a spoiler as they get run over by Ninjas in Pajamas, who instantly hit on out. Bubble for Team Onyx has managed to find himself inside the tower. This is where you wanted so much of last time out, and it's, well, there's a hell of a lot of flesh out of Blade, but, well, it's only going to be blood drawn, not a knock. That being said, Onyx then get aggressive. Couple of kills come on through, pushing. And that'll be Blade, that'll be Zanx, and the Italians, they will hold on for just a moment because of one player that's managed to flee for a sec, but that is another bad start from them.
Yeah, no, you hate to see that happening. And just look at this mini-map right now. Onyx has control of so much of sort of this side here. They have grandmas, they have headquarters, they can look down at living quarters, they can look over at factory. We could start them seeing really moving. And I'm seeing on the horizon, though, I'm seeing Gromalok in a helicopter. I think he might be the best heli pilot we have in the game. No surprise here. Obviously, with that zone pulling off, Gentlemates, they realize they got to move out of Stronghold if they need to, and it seems like coming over here towards Control to battle Novos is going to be the call. I don't know if that's necessarily the play, though, because you still have to move quite a distance, and, well, it's just Gromalok that's over here, and unfortunately for him, he has been knocked. You have to be careful if you're playing towards Control here, because we've seen time and time again, these teams who love to play up towards that lighthouse, they love sending shots down towards Control and just get some of these easy pickings here and there.
Yeah, Gentlemates have the arguably toughest zone rotation for this one, going from one side of the map to the other. The team capable of doing it, absolutely, but there's a big couple of checkboxes on that route, and this is one of the early ones. They are very split, though, with one player just holding back in living quarters, so right out, trying to set up your pinch. What you hope to do if you are Enkyo or Grom here is find an individual fight, one that you can then drag the numbers into a 2-on-2, and, well, you much prefer that fight. But Novo, they know this area. It's whether you read the blast traps on the other side of the door and you step away just in time. And Gromelok will be knocked, actually, by Aizen. So, all of a sudden, the French under a lot of trouble. And, well, Cams will be there. Yavi will clean it on up. And Enkyo left on his own then in a 1v3. Thankfully, your player in Hollow is still going to be in living quarters alive, so you can resurge if need be. But a failed push from the Frenchman.
And Fnatic back over here towards bioweapons. We mentioned in game number 1, we were like, wow, they're over here at Factory. This is sort of a different drop because they said they liked landing bio. But you had to have that great mention. Depending on where the zone pulls, they have sort of 2 different drop spots they like to play at. So with this zone, of course, being towards that northeastern side, they're going to say, hey, we have no problem going all the way back to bioweapons to be able to kind of hang on out. That's there. Hopefully they can manage to find a lot of those kills. Meanwhile, at the harbor, we have Team Lipton battling it on out, trying to be able to stay alive, but it seems like they found themselves in a little bit of a sandwich. FIFA, he's going to be the one to find the kill onto Lipton that's there, but King Kaz, he's going to be able to answer on back. HDR in hand, the snipes are hitting. Everybody knows how much, if you're dropping into Rebirth Island, these snipers can be a problem.
Love seeing them get pulled on out. The EFL, they've actually decided to go a very different route. They're up close, nice and personal. LC10 in hand, and Nielsen will be picked up next, as Harbour Chem will be laid claim to by the Englishman. And now it's all about bottlenecking teams, trying to rotate on up from Factory, of which you've got Decky, of which you've also got a little bit left of that Team Lipton squad. We move on over to a team in prison. This is the Italians, Zangsblade and Freddy, who a fantastic set of closed qualifiers, though a tough start. Map 1, only the 4 points on the board, and we spoke about how you cannot afford to have those kind of games happen if you are looking to qualify. We do get 7 spots here in Europe, so opportunity to recover this early, sure, but when you can't have 2 bad games in a row, then we do start asking a lot of questions.
Yeah, you have to kind of keep that in the back of your brain. They're one of those teams that we mentioned, you have to start off with some great early games to ride that momentum through the rest of the map. You have 8 games to manage to do it. If you kind of chalk your mental here in the first couple, it can be hard to play from behind. And ELF, well, that was another squad. We knew that if they could come out hot and heavy, they could ride their coattails all the way through 8 games and feel pretty good about it. Really great map number 1, and it seems like map number 2 is already off to a fantastic start from them. I love their movement. It's moving from Chem just on up over to Harbor, swinging back down to Bio, really just kind of applying a lot of pressure onto this side of the map, not letting anyone else be able to try and sort of gain any sort of ground here. And I think that's really what's kind of lending to a lot of their success.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Called that beautifully for this squad. Swizzen, Authentics, and Hydra. This is that new team that we've got our eyes on at the minute. And well, I was talking about whether you're part of the old guard, part of the new guard. No bigger test than when you step up against the Gentlemates. You will be missing Gromelok for this fight, though. So for Hollow and Enkyo, it's trying to, again, find a corner to tuck yourself into, maybe third-party a couple of situations, maybe play for multiplier. Either way, you don't really want to be barreling into a room that Fnatic are holding the doorway on, and you've got more teams nearby to potentially roll up behind you.
Yeah, this is the sort of issue with bioweapons. It becomes this nice little layer cake between the roof and a couple of these layers, and even the staircase side. We're already seeing some score streaks go ahead and get used by Anxian. Hopefully going to try and push some of those squads off the top and manage to maybe push them into a fight. On the other side, though, you can see Aizen, Vidot, Kazu. They're trying to take this fight over towards this ammo cache against that number 2 squad who's just trying to stay alive. Looks like they're a little bit on the regain. Ninjas in pajamas. You see King AJ landing over there towards that hut. He will be able to get his feet down on the ground, but it's not without a couple little love taps from this squad that's there. So this fight getting a little bit interesting already. You can see his 2 teammates up above. If you can manage to find a little bit of a timing here, you may be able to push them on in. You do have sort of the ability to gatekeep if you so need, but you have to be careful. You have to be sure about the fight that you go ahead and take. And already we see Steve-O. He opens it on up, and look at that. Trades come on through. It's fantastic. Steve-O will go down, but thankfully you have Omenik there for the trade. They're there for the swing. You get the revive on up, and I think that's pretty clutch in that fight, my friend. The fact that they don't let the player go on down. Well, okay, never mind. I spoke a little bit too early. I was going to say, I thought they were able to get him back on up, but it looks like somebody from behind still playing spoiler, of course, to this fight.
Yeah, you just managed to keep your anchor in the fight, and that allows you to then come back at this card. Gets up close, finds Omenik. So AJ then having to flee. Do you get the resurgence on through? Yes, you do. Steve-O is back in. But for AJ, it's about trying to stay alive, hold this on down, will potentially load out right next to you. So that could be a great way to reset yourself and go yet again. And AJ will manage to hit it. He's done enough to send the two Frenchmen backpedaling for a moment. Smoke. Out goes the Semtex. There's one on your left. You find him. Beautiful work. Then gets the support in from the teammates. And that will be Team Azen wiped off the board here in map 2.
Yeah, Ninjas in Pajamas go huge there. They kind of win that first initial fight, and then they have the ability to sort of stall the push from that French squad and then be able to regain, jump on through. Great job from King AJ there. You even see those shots with that ground loot C9, just to back that team down, just to give him enough time to hit the loadout, and that is exactly what he wanted. Feels a little bit more comfortable in the guns and equipment that he has in his back pocket, then goes ahead, pushes that fight with the teammates. A huge win, because that's going to kind of open up this entire sort of water side of the map, Enigma. Yeah. They'll get all of the opportunity they need, but it's Fnatic here from top bioweapons, literally shooting fish in a barrel downrange at this water. A couple of these teams just trying to stay alive, and look at that. It's the Germans in the water, pistols in hand, looking to become a couple shards, fighting for some kills.
I want to catch everybody up on this fight. This has been going on since very early. Zakar of Fnatic has basically popped himself on this submarine and held it from multiple oppressors, and now he's got several more trying to squeeze up. Melvin will be cracked. Zakar might actually get the finish onto that. Enxian knocks Pentagon elsewhere, so the Germans are in big trouble. The second set are rolling on up as well. Zakar with 5 kills already. Surely then a 6th as he gets that down, and then the finish. But there's another squad, again, continuing to assess whether or not they push this submarine out. The problem they have, these recovering squads, you've not got the gunny, you've not got the angle to fight Zakar out of there. Fnatic setting themselves up in their preferred location with that anchor in play and doing so much of the work for them, and now giving them an opportunity to recover again before we then figure out this next fight.
Team Lipton taken off the map as well, so it'll be another early exit for that squad. Fnatic, though, it's Hydra from the top ropes who's going to be able to shoot down onto Patsuka, and look who's here at Bio. They've managed to come on over. It's the Gentlemates continuing to surge on forward. Zone will pull away from their POI, and it's not a problem for them. Able to get into this last sort of building that could be in the middle. And this German squad that was out by the submarine, who is pushed up towards Bio, is getting farmed right now. You can see they're getting taken on out by, of course, the Gentlemates. And in the kill feed, I'm seeing Rock Esports. See you later. Ninjas in Pajamas have taken you on out.
Yeah, Rock just put themselves in an awful position, really. They spend too long in prison, are not willing to rotate north early, and as such, you end up with Novo and Vanitas in Industries. They don't really have a rotation there. You've then also got ELF holding Chem, and then up towards the northern border is going to be Ninjas in Pajamas. Talk about stuck between a rock and a hard place. When they eventually go, it's easy pickings for the Ninjas. And well, we then turn our attentions back towards bioweapons as everything starts to compress. But that circle actually is going to pull slightly towards the bunker. So that could actually favor Ninjas in Pajamas if they can clean that side on out, because there's a little bit of Fnatic pressure over that way, just trying to stay alive. And for Gentlemates, who've rotated the entire length of the map, double back a little bit on themselves here.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, though. You can see there already a couple of teams still around you, looking to stay on top. Swizzin will find a Lays. That's one of the squads around here that's in this bio building. Ninjas in Pajamas still finding more on the outside. Stukex trying to manage to stay alive. As Ninjas in Pajamas, they're still just kind of trying to keep their eyes out here on the sights. I mean, Pentagon, I think he's the last alive for that team as well. If he gets found on out, they'll be saying goodbye. As you still have Decky on the outside, he'll get found by Gromalok as well. So a couple teams here just trying to stay alive. Grom goes down, and it's already just some pistol fights in the water between these two, and Stukex able to win it. Takes Pentagon out off the map. One German squad has been eliminated. As Gentlemate's still over by Bio, have to make this rotation. It's just going to be, I believe, on Enkyo, taken on out. Hollow gets dropped. Gentlemates, after a fantastic map number 1, they're just on the outside of this 1.4 times multiplier. They will get taken down. ELF, though, they managed to move from Chem here, Enigma, and they've gained control of top Industrial.
Yeah, they've slowly crept their way across the map, breaching and clearing, and just ensuring their backside is always against gas, so they only have to ever focus forward. That stinks of an echo strategy if ever we've seen one, and he's now considering laying siege to the prison. Flash goes on in. Lennon, though, got his eye on the ninjas in pajamas. We're going to try and rotate on up from Industry. Out goes the Thermite one side. That's going to force Steve-O and AJ to rotate around towards the left. And, of course, laying in wait. And, well, there goes Steve-O. AJ, what are you up to, my friend? I think he's actually deciding to just take the gas damage and not hand a kill out.
Yeah, but you see he's actually kind of waited a little bit, delayed it. Start seeing that self-revive go on in. If you are ELF, you had a little bit of help from Novo down below you. And this is what I was curious. I was like, I saw ELF at Chem, and when they see that zone pull come on through, like you mentioned, I know Echo was saying, let's just wrap topside. Let's just take top Industrial. We're going to be able to look down at everybody. If there's kids below us, fine. We'll take that fight. No worries, no problem. Final 3 teams here, still on the map. It's Vanitos, it's Novo Esports, it's ELF. And right now, ELF, they have managed to control this entire top side, but down below, Novo, they're finding the kills. Vanitos, we say goodbye to you. And it's the last final 2 teams right here. ELF controlling the top side. But do they make this read? There's a player behind them trying to sort of make a play out into the gas. I don't know if that's the best sort of situation you want to be in.
Some anchor on anchor love there as FIFA Kill finds Vortex and cleans that out. Typically this team play around Freddy as their anchor, to be fair, so Vortex potentially just call out of position. Cam's waiting for Echo, finds him. So Lennon, what do you have? And you are able to find one, turn it into a 2v1. Lennon, FIFA Kill holding the top side. Cam's, what do you decide to do? I think he might go on a little bit of a hunt here for some way of turning this into a longer heal off. And well, knocked.
I don't know.
Lennon also knocked. Looks like FIFA Kill able to stay up for now.
Okay, self-revive. Okay, you at least get one. How much longer can you stay alive? FIFA Kill's knocked. It looks like he might try and do the same thing. Cams finds another self, though, Enigma. Maybe a little bit of RNG that's there, and FIFA trying to do the same on the other side. Another? Coming down to a self-revive. FIFA goes down? Somehow, by the grace of God, Cams finds a second self-revive, which lets him stay alive for just long enough. Wow. Novo Esports. Hey, they're going to take map number 2, my friend. Absolutely wild ending.
It's not in the most traditional fashions, but Novo Esports will pull it off. It's a thing here. We just end up with a heal off coming on through. The classic situation there where, I mean, Cam just gets blessed, quite frankly, and had more coming on out if he needed it. So, insane stuff. But I guess we talked so much about some of the impressive stuff that happened in that map. And I guess we're going to go to the team that ended up coming second there, ELF. Their rotation on in from Chem is so impressive. And I think this is setting them up for a very consistent afternoon, which again is the thing that we're looking for, because both times now they've had to rotate considerably into other areas stacked with teams. And what they've done is gone, okay, we'll put ourselves against the gas, move from building to building, and just slowly check our way across the map and ensure that we're only looking forward. And well, map 1, you had 22.4 points. I'm wondering if it's going to be even better here in map 2.
Definitely could be. I know they're probably in the back just saying, okay, that's RNG. We would have loved to win it, but like we're not letting that really kind of ruin our day. For Novo, though, a team that we know that we kind of were curious saying, hey, they have to have a really couple good early games. Getting that extra 0.2 from the 1.4 to a 1.6 could be the difference maker when it's all said and done. So great job, of course, from Cams there, able to stay alive. Map number 2, though, friends, done and dusted. And we are continuing to see some of our teams start to pull away, have a little bit more consistency than the others. We're going to go ahead, take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to look at these scores, see who's really shaping on up as we get ready to drop on into map number 3.
Why? One by one, you always come back like a curse. Lurking in the dark, your soul is blind. You lie, time and time again, and I am not your fool. Not this time, 'cause I'm the wiser of us two. I'm the one of light, the antithesis of you. If you shoot, I'll take you. If you run, I'll chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. This is all you ever wanted. Take it all, you deserve it. This is how we're gonna end it. La-di-da-di-da-da. Take it all, you deserve it. Take it all, you deserve it. Giving back the freedom you want to destroy. And my power's way too strong for you, so try. 'Cause you can't dominate and know will you survive. And not this time, 'cause I'm the wiser of us two. I'm the one of light, the antithesis of you. The fire in my heart will only grow. If you shut the gates, I'll burn them down. I am 1,000 steps ahead of you. You'll see soon.
We're playing 8 games today, and we are through our first 2. We're seeing some of our teams pop off, and some of our teams struggle. If you're just joining us, game number 2 ended in an electric manner between FIFA Kill and Cams. Basically, it comes down to a heal-off. Cams get lucky, finds a single self-revive in order to keep their team in it. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the leaderboard from that game to see who really put some points on the board.
Yeah, and it's going to be very interesting to see that Team Decky sit there in number 2. But let's start off very quickly with that ELF conversation. We mentioned about the patience, the discipline rotating on over from Chemical when it looked like the zone was very far away from them. But what they did, put their backs against the wall, focused forward, and gunned everything in their path. A 24-kill second place will give them 33.6 points, continuing their impressive start, my friend.
Yeah, and you can see, obviously, with some of our other teams, Novo, they're able to, even though they come in first, they win that game, it's still a 4th place finish for them overall. They only had 15 kills to really take advantage of that multiplier. But honestly, if you're not coming out with as much kills as some of these teams that are in the top 3, hey, being able to have that 1.6 times multiplier, that is definitely a boon for you. For a couple of our other teams, though, some early exits, namely the Gentlemates, coming out in 11th in that game, only 7.2 points. Added to their total. When we look at the overall, though, my friend, here is how it's breaking on down. Currently, the Germans, Fuzzin, Pentagon, and Melvin, 30 points to their name. That's going to be our cutoff. Rock Esports, not too far away from them, but we are starting to see a gap form between some of our top teams and the bottom of our leaderboard.
Yeah, it's starting to become a little bit of a shelf, and anyone beneath it very concerned, especially when you look at teams like Onyx and Vanitas. We know that these are high momentum teams in particular, and when you start off this way, I start to become concerned for how the rest of your afternoon is going to go. Also, all the way down there at the bottom, that Heed squad, we've seen them go out early twice. 6 kills on the board so far, and that's one of those squads that we're looking at thinking, well, you've got a lot of technical accuracy, you've got a lot of things that we think are making you straight shooters, gunnies out there on the map, and while you've looked great through close quals, the quality of the lobby stepped on up, and it just seems like right now they don't have an answer to that upgrade in the quality, in the level of the lobby. Someone who certainly does have an answer for something that's going on is that Team Decky lineup. sitting there in second place, surprising pretty much everybody right now. And in map 1, it was a case that they took complete control of factory and boat side. In map 2, Gentlemates, they actually rotate up through control. What that does is cause a chain reaction. Pentagon are pushed into factory. That could have overwhelmed Decky and Co, but instead they mop them up multiple times and then find that clean rotation on over towards bioweapons. So that squad right now dealing with two very different maps in very good fashion. Definitely a squad that are putting themselves 1 foot at least onto a plane to Riyadh so far.
Well, and also, let's remember, right? Stukek's in the water there. Goes ahead, hunts down Pentagon, able to find him in the water. Not only is that an extra point added, but those kills have a little bit more impact to them. When you're taking a squad off the map in those later game scenarios, you're really sort of, kind of increasing your points already by 20% when you're able to kind of be on that bubble. So, fantastic work from them. A team that I think coming in today, we had some questions on would they be able to perform, and at least through the first 2, they are shutting us up, and that is what matters. Coming on in though, game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. Let's drop on in. Zone's gonna pull a little bit towards that southwest. We could actually see something over towards control when it comes to that end game. So we're going to all 4 corners of this map, my friend, and everybody has to try and figure out how to make it work. Already we're seeing Fuzzin. He actually gets an early kill onto Enkyo. So Gentlemates down there at the stronghold. I think Enkyo maybe just trying to maybe find some early picks off the rip if possible, but will get paid on out for it. On the top side though, Onyx, there's his sitting on top of this grandpa's building, and they're finding some of these members of Vanitos.
They are indeed. A couple of interesting things, by the way, happening off screen. Fnatic, who said that they would change up their landing spot if it pulled towards this western side, have dropped factory. So continues to look for that one in the kill feed, depending on if they run into Decky and Co, who've had such a strong grasp of that part of the map so far. I think that Gentlemates thing, by the way, the thing that happens with Enkyo, I wonder if they're a little bit concerned about getting themselves a bit more landmass early on, rather than just all hitting stronghold and being out of the fight nice and early. But Enkyo doing that by himself, that's just going to be a very difficult spot to find anything except for an early death.
Yeah, you can even see here, kind of going into map number 3 as well. I was very curious about this sort of headquarters fight. Going into map 1, we saw how hectic it got, and it seems like even after that, all 3 of those squads who told us they were going to land headquarters, well, it's Onyx who are going to be the one to kind of be able to lay claim to it. Back over at Bio, though, Ninjas in Pajamas, they are pushing the aggression over onto Authentics, Hydra, and Swizzin. And already, King AJ, he's starting to get these shots rolling here in the stairwell. He's able to find one, looks towards the water. This is that last player. If they have this read, if they can find Hydra, this would be huge. But thankfully, it's very early on. Resurgence timer, it's very low. You wait just a little bit too long, but what matters most, Omatic gonna go ahead, find that kill in the water. Help Ninjas in Pajamas keep their score rolling on up.
Yeah, well, we roll on over to Fuzzin, Pentagon, and Melvin, who are in a very difficult spot there as Pentagon gets cleaned on up. It looks like you're in a bit of a recovery situation. They are sitting right on that bubble. Of course, early days, so not necessarily theirs to lay claim to for now, but you've of course got one eye over your shoulder at all times. Rock Esports on your coattails. Beautiful work from Zanx here atop the tower. Will steal it away from Niasen. Down goes King Chalk as well. So where has your third rotated on off to as we lose a team very early? And it will still be another team as well. The Germans fall super quick. So Melvin, Foz, and Pentagon, we tuned in. We said that they were in a bit of a recovery. They did not successfully pull that together.
Yeah, you can see when this zone starts pulling to a different side of the map, I think some teams will struggle. They're going to get caught on some of these rotations, and I think a couple of our other squads, especially, you know, our top 4 that have already had some early love, they've already had some success. I think they're willing to play a little bit more loose and but not afraid to push the equation on some of these teams, and that's what we're kind of starting to see. ELF still managing to find some more kills over towards that Harbor Chemical side. They have quite a long sort of way for them to still be able to sort of play into this zone. Only a couple teams between them and being able to get in some great positioning rather, so definitely can decide to find some more points. Vanitos, they've kind of getting bullied off of headquarters. They've split now. So you got some there, and you got Freddy playing on this top prison side. A little bit of a split here, and I don't mind this. Freddy can kind of look down towards small side of prison, see if anybody is trying to make a play up towards the top here. We're starting to see multiple fights happen across the map. ELF, they've managed to run on into Decky. Echo is taken on down, and you have one player that's left over there at Harbor and another into the sky. FIFA kill. He's going to be able to back on up, still stay alive, find that loadout, maintain it. And if he can manage to kind of create some space here, we'll let his teammates be able to land, get back on into the game.
Yeah, having that loadout available is a huge boon for FIFA kill. Give him an opportunity to fire back here, because a rotation otherwise would probably take you through towards prison. And well, we've just been there a moment ago. A couple of teams still squabbling over that, so not a quiet entry to the next circle that way either. Ninjas in Pajamas on the other side of pushing on over towards Dock, and they want to lay claim to the boat. There will be a member of Heeds here, and it will actually be Heeds himself, who's trying to stay alive for a moment. Turns, burns, cuts Omenic down. But then there's a situation here where he's also just trying to stay up, recognizes the amount of pressure he's under, maybe doesn't and recognize it enough, pushes back, and it will be a double swing from Ninjas in Pajamas. Will be a res come through, but you hear more players landing. Gonna be team 13 on your screen. It's Vidat who lands. Also got company in Azen, who's trying to counter this, but, well, two players landing on you from the top rope, and that will be that. But, well, will it actually? Because you've still got more company considering third-partying this.
Yeah, you hear these shots coming down towards the boat. You are immediately looking on over. You can see Ninjas in Pajamas doing a great job of just trying to find some of these kills, playing as a duo, swinging out as a just sort of team. And that's something that we don't see a lot of squads somehow do. They're doing such a great job of not letting each other go down. They want to push these fights together. It's always trying to take a fight from different angles that they can manage to make on happen. Gentlemates still managing to hold down on the stronghold side, and they have complete free reign of this. Nobody else really down there. And you can see Hollow, HDR in hand. He's just finding picks at range. Says, hey, cool, I'm going to get some lazy points for our team. Manage to get them on there, make everybody else fight on out as they need to. Seems like Onyx, for the time being, they've managed to move on out of headquarters. They're going to lay claim to a big green for the time being, and I definitely think that's a good idea. A couple of members of Gentlemates, though, they're looking to contest.
I like the squeeze out. We'll come back to exactly why, because you're going to get aggressive, but you won't find it. So talk a little bit about it. First of all, it's going to give you an opportunity to push on up and be involved in some of the thick of the action. Hallow's happy to take that fight from distance, of course. Finds 2 straight shots into Disrupt to find the kill. But the second reason this is a great thing is, think back to map 1. Looked like it was pulling onto Stronghold, then drags hard to Living Quarters. Enkiol Grom, they don't want to be having to make that rotation late. They're going to try and get it done early, set themselves up here now. If it pulls to Stronghold, even better. But if they are going to be already here, then, well, they're not having to rotate late, and the timing could not be better. But Enkiol's here to wait, both. Little Freshman, the demon, pops for 2, and well, Onyx, they will be in a desperate situation.
I love the play. You see, they realize there's some blast traps down below, and they're waiting for the timing. They get the initial knock, and I think it's just a little bit of an overheat. They both need to drop at that same time, but it's 1 by 1. And Enkyo, he says, hey, there's only one direction I need to shoot, and that is directly in front of me. We know how talented he is, and when you line him up for some easy kills like that, he's going to find them. A great idea for Onyx, but an even better execution from the Gentlemates. A fantastic passage of play. Still on the boat, though. We are seeing Heat sort of trying to be able to play here as King Kaz, LC10 in hand, puts down 2 of them. Looks like you're going to have some help from some other teams as well, though. Sliding on down, you're still 1. A little bit of game of cat and mouse here on the boat as you are looking. Finally, though, some great shots. Lipton will go down to VDOT. Still just looking towards the sky. Can you manage to find this one last player on the boat? Can you take down his teammate from above? I don't know if you can. King Kaz finds another one. Says, Jalmi, please. I'm going to make you pay for it. Sliding back and forth here. Thankfully for you, Azen, Vita, Kazu, they have been able to work together, find the flank, bring down that player. Some fantastic shots from King Kaz there.
Beautiful work. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Vacular, by the way, on a sub account or a different name for today, but either way, elsewhere, As King Chalk is found by Aizen here as well. French on French love. Nielsen's going to be there to trade it on out. Has more company in Kazu. What can you do? Nielsen probably just going to have to abandon this one. Doesn't have the utility for it. Will get himself into the water, but, well, literally fish in a barrel if he is spotted. Going to tug himself in close to the boats. Kazu nervous about pushing on out. What I will say, by the way, nice and early again, Rock Esports eliminated. Their fight for prison is not going well. Try and rotate out of it, and every single time, it's either Novo or Vanitas giving them hell.
You can see there already. Novo, you got 2 members at control. You got 1 player just trying to maybe play spoiler towards this boat. ELF, they've taken to this low side here. They've rotated on the outside. They don't need to push up the living quarters just yet. However, Team Decky, they might be able to have a little bit of an angle here as we see some shots go on out. Lennon will get dropped, and that's actually Hollow, though, nearby as well. Still with that HDR. He is just absolutely feasting at range, sneaking out some of these kills from some of these other squads right now. I think it's like the 4th time we've seen that this map, and this kill feed is just erupting with fights right now. Gentlemates fighting Lipton. On the other side, you have, of course, Decky taking on Onyx Esports with ELF right on the outside, and well, it looks like that fight between the Gentlemates and Team Lipton will end with Lipton getting taken out very early yet again.
Yeah, Lipton, after the loss at the boat, try and recover instead at Stronghold, and well, there's the European best squad sitting right there, willing to welcome you into their arms, clean you on up. Now, on board we've seen Decky again. These guys sitting in second after our first 2 maps, been very impressive in the way they've controlled Factory. They've had to play it differently every single time. That will continue here in the 3rd map, but they're going to come across ELF, who are laying in wait, and Decky finds Echo to open it up.
Lays, he takes some damage as well, though. They're kind of playing this out in the gas. ELF, if they can manage to play together, this is huge, but unfortunately, Stukex will push on forward, finds a Lennon. You only need 1 more, and ELF taken out in 9th place. Fantastic first 2 games, but game number 3, the zone just pushes them, and it's a little bit awkward. They're not able to gain sort of that power position that they love how to play out. They get cut on down by Decky in the process. So Team Decky continuing to find success here in map number 3. King Chalk, Team Heeds eliminated by Onyx Esports. They've stayed in this big green all game long, and they have been finding so much success. However, do you manage to find Ninjas in Pajamas over here in the tents? Novo, they could also activate if they wanted to, a potential 3rd party brewing in this area, because as that zone goes ahead and pulls, Ninjas in Pajamas, they're the only team that's already set on up here. If you are the Gentlemates, you're playing from down below, but there's another squad who's looking to mirror you.
Decky and Gentlemates will take different routes out of Stronghold, but it's all about who can get there. Actually, Stukex decides to land a PA right on top of the Frenchman. We don't have the Tracer anymore. We don't know exactly where it's going, so instead you got to just scramble for cover. That would delay your rotation out of the gas. That may be huge for later permutations, and Decky have managed to find themselves on the wall, and like a crawling army commandoing their way across that line. They will just about make it through, but not without losing a lot of utility on the way.
Vanitas, they're stuck between 2 different teams. They get cut on down by not only Ninjas in Pajamas, but by Onyx as well. Decky staying alive on that other side of the wall. Onyx doing such a good job of keeping both of these teams in check. They know that they have multiple squads in front of them, and just slowly but surely are they trying to get those shots on out to maybe buy some space to push on forward. You can see it's just Bubble and Disrupt at this point for those 2. Novo on the other side, though, they're trying to play from this low ground, but you're going to have Gentlemates sneaking on up behind you. Do you make this read? You do. Camps sends shots down range, does not let them get the positioning. Vortex, he's full sending it right now, and unfortunately he's gonna drop on down while you have the Germans from above surging on forward. They take down Vanitas. They're looking to take down the Gentlemates as well. You are just shooting downwards. Team Decky doing a great job of clearing up some fantastic squads in this lobby. Enkyo, he's the last one alive for his team. He has $15,000. If he can get to a buy station, he can get both teammates back on in. You try and go for the chow, though. It's not going to be enough. The Germans, they managed to take down Gentlemates, but Ninjas in Pajamas, they're going to activate from the backside. It's a 2v2v1.
Bubble just holding on out in the gas, trying to execute a third-party situation, surely. And the gunfights will start to erupt. Is that his trigger? It looks like it as he starts to cross, but AJ's already ready. AJ will kill him. So it's a 2v2, turns, burns, finds Decky. So it just lays then, what can you do against the ninjas in pajamas? And it won't be very much on the edge of gas. AJ finds the knock. AJ finds the kill. And they come online here in map 3. It's not been an awful start for them. They were already in 4th coming into this map, but that could well be the moment that they signal they're ready to take over this whole damn tournament.
Hey, we know AJ's a shooter. I'm pretty sure he just ended that map with 13 or 14 kills by himself, let alone, I think I saw 8 for his teammate there at the end as well. So, hey, it's a large number of kills, man. You add on top a 1.6 multiplier, we could be seeing a new team atop of the leaderboard. We know that team can come out. We know that there's some fantastic shooters. And, well, in game number 3, I think they just control so much of that map and are able just to clean it on up with ease.
Well, it's interesting as well to see that final fight is against Team Decky. This is arguably our two most consistent teams right now. And going back to that fight that Team Decky had against Gentlemates, they're both trying to rotate on out of Stronghold there, and they end up in a situation where one's going one side, one's going the other, and Stukex makes a brilliant call, calling that PA, siphon off that entire side of the map so that you can rotate first. Then when Gentlemates are pushed back, they then try and get back up that hill, and who's waiting at the top of the hill, ready to cut you down? None other than Team Decky, profiting from that earlier play and making sure that the Frenchmen never escape.
Well, it's also for Decky too, right? Being able to push up those stairs towards Big Green side. We saw them kind of getting a little bit of a scuffle with Onyx, but they just decide, no, we're going to lay in wait. We don't need to take this fight. We don't need to do anything crazy. We can just hang out behind this wall. And that's going to force Onyx. They then have to kind of take this fight against ninjas in pajamas. They're looking left, they're looking right, and they say, how do we get on out of this? And Decky just does enough. They find the timing to slip on forward to gain that positioning we see towards them at the top, ultimately winning out in the end. But for ninjas in pajamas, though, I think they did a great job of just kind of clearing out all of control side. They then are focusing top green. They hear that shooting going on to the right, but saying, hey, we don't need to get aggressive on that just yet. That team's going to have to push to us at some point. It's going to have to be through open area. King AJ sets himself up beautifully to secure the final kills that are there. Game number 3, continuing the hype, ladies and gentlemen. It's fantastic. And guess what? Game number 4 is going to put us halfway through our set here today. The EU qualifiers, they are continuing to deliver. Hopefully game number 4 meets our expectations. Let's go to a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at all of these leaderboards and hop on into game number 4.
Three, two, one, go. Three, two, one, go. 2, 1, go.
Welcome back, everybody. Dandro and Enigma here as part of the EU closed qualifiers for the Esports World Cup for Call of Duty Warzone. We're through our first 3 maps. We're getting ready to drop on into map number 4. We're going to take a look at that last lobby, my friend, because there are some definite surprises that are showing up to us when we take a look at that match leaderboard. No surprise to see Ninjas of Pajamas at the top with 21 kills, 33.6 points, but a number of our teams that had some great starts, they're faltering in map 3.
Yeah, and I think that the story actually becomes a little bit about how Team Decky continued to be the crux of so many teams. We look at Fnatic, for example. They changed up their landing spot, decided to head on over to a factory where Team Decky have been so good the first 2 maps, and Decky send them packing with their tails between their legs and last place in the lobby here in map 3. But it wasn't just them. Team ELF, they'll only get 9.6 points, and we saw them get stuck on their rotation on the way down from Chem. They also hit Decky, and we tuned in with them just as they were trying to hit a bit of recovery where ELF and Decky again sent them off, rotating away, continuing to just hold that whole corner of the map, pick up second place easily, our most consistent team today.
Yeah, it feels like we're seeing a lot of these same 4 teams, 1 through 4 there all the time in every single map. But when we look at our overall ranking here, my friend, we are starting to see a little bit of a shelf get created. Rock Esports, they'll just barely nudge Onyx out of that 7th position spot, 39.6 points. But look at this. You have Onyx, you have Vanitos, and the Germans not too far on their tails. And even that, Aim Assist Abuser, they just had a fantastic map as well to put them, of course, in a slight bit of contention. For Decky, though, they have managed to come up towards the top of our overall rankings. 77 points total, 55 kills on the day. Wow, things are really starting to heat up, man. And there are a couple teams that I know you and I coming into this, we had some real questions about, you know, how would they perform? If they got off hot, would they be able to have that momentum, right? And it feels like for some of them, they're definitely feeling their success.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting the call that you make there about Team Aim Assist Abuser. By the way, Team Azen I just don't know if I like that name, to be quite honest with you, gentlemen. But it's a case of they finally come online a little bit in Lobby 3, which, okay, yes, you've had 2 bad maps to start you off, but if this is the sign of things to come, could be one of those teams to start to climb the leaderboard a little bit. But it's all through these middle games about that momentum. Can you maintain it, and that stamina and consistency that we talked about at the top of the show, or do you fluster? Do you fail on that resurgence? And we are in for map 3 here, and well, sorry, map 4, and it will be a very strong hold, potentially living quarters circle.
Yep. South side of the map, that is where you have to look, and already Enkyo taken on down yet again. And I'm kind of looking at our little bit of a feed of here, and it looks like he's kind of just flying in the air, maybe just trying to get a read on that German squad while the rest of his 2 teammates land at Stronghold. Very early on here, though, Onyx, they're on the hunt. You see them take down 2 members of Team Heeds, and they're trying to maybe find that last one that's there, but Disrupt goes towards the roof of Grandma's, just trying to find one, but Venito's there looking to try to get a little bit of aggressive here as well. This is what we saw in map number 1, what we expected at least. Venito's activates against Heeds, but it's going to be Onyx on this outside Disrupt. He's able to take down Blade, and next thing you know, looks like they've managed to gain some solid control over this area.
On screen, by the way, you'll see that Team Heeds in big trouble as they are getting mopped up by pretty much everybody they run into right now. Zanx tries to get a little bit too cute with it, and that will hand Disrupt a kill, who was also getting shot in the back, by the way. But I think that fall from Zanx signals that the Italians need to get the hell out of Dodge. Blade and Freddy will find other ways to assess this headquarters fight. So it's going to be Onyx holding Grandma's, and Bubble potentially playing for that tower. Spoke earlier on, there's at least 3 teams that all said we want our anchor up in that top tower. Right now, I feel like Onyx have been the most successful at achieving that, although we have seen presence from the Italians. The one squad that isn't really seeing the success of getting themselves up there, Rock Esports, who are having a tough start this afternoon.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And even some fights going on there still in this tower. We see Heeds maybe trying to contest Zanx just a little bit, but he's not going to let it happen. And Zanx slides down the ladder, doesn't realize Bubble is laying in wait. We'll be able to find him. And you got Blade down below there as well. If they can manage to find Blade, this will give you nice control over both not only Grandma's, but also Grandpa's and headquarters as well. Unfortunately for you, though, Blade, he's going to be able to, in the middle of the smoke, take down AB Wiz. So just not enough yet for these 3 teams. A little bit of a sort of triple farm situation going on between everybody right now. Still managing to just find kill after kill on each other. But down towards that factory side, look who's back here where the zone pull is. Fnatic, they've come back on down here after a terrible game number 3. They score a singular point, looking to maybe have some more success like they had in map number 1. They found themselves in factory, keeping Team Decky out on the boat.
The last time we saw this side of zone be played on out, we didn't get it in map 3, but mostly in map 1. And it was the Gentlemen who had to recover from a very difficult situation, but a couple of squads profited heavily, such as Team Decky, who started their afternoon the way in which they mean to carry on. Zakar trying to back up Patsuka here, but unfortunately falls. Gonna see a cluster called in on top of the boat, trying to give you a bit of breathing room or a knock or shift away one of these teams that's around you right now. Enxian also finding himself in trouble, and I'm not seeing any plates be put on in, so I start to become very concerned about your situation. Zakar, can you get the hell out? Because right now, it feels like this team are just getting bounced between multiple different squads. And you get up above Pentagon, can you finish it? You do, but not before Patsuka at least gets back in.
Yeah, Pentagon wanted to be able to go for that full thirst and has the right idea, is able to get it, but it's not before Patsuka gets back on in towards the map. A little bit faster moves there from Pentagon, and we could have seen Fnatic with back-to-back just rough maps from them, but thankfully a little bit of patience, maybe a little bit of COD timing comes online. Ninjas and Pajamas continuing to light up the kill feed against multiple different teams as well. Team Decky, they're doing a great job of being able to just find these kills where they need to. The Germans still battling against the Gentlemates. Green to living quarter side, and well, we saw Hollow last game doing some crazy things with the HDR from range, and I think we're getting a little bit of a glimpse into how he was able to do it.
Yeah, interesting as well that he scopes in, sees that Enki and Grumlock have pushed way up into living quarters. Again, just trying to grab that land early, ensure that they don't have to make a really late rotation from Stronghold, which you saw be their undoing last time round, where they had to regroup back up and try and push themselves up that hill again. That's the thing that they're consistently trying to avoid. And as such, every fight means a hell of a lot to them. Not just for everyone else's reasons, but also you don't want to get isolated in that Stronghold location if the zone doesn't pull directly onto it. Basically a death sentence. Zonik, try and breach and clear and move on forward. The Germans going to be backed on off. Melvin in trouble. Pentagon trying to recover. And, well, depending on how this fight goes, I really want to come back to some of his decision-making from earlier. Leaves me wondering whether he's hamstrung his team just a little bit. And, well, actually it's going to be Fozin who finds Enkyo, and Enkyo cuts him down. So right now the Frenchman looking to run into Onik, and if you are what's left of the German squad, you're just trying to survive. And Melvin, well, you hold on for a moment, but that will be the end of the team that were holding on there of the bubble for qualification. They'll have to sit back and assess what's gone wrong, figure out how to bounce back in the coming maps.
I was worried about that the second we see Onyx start moving. I think the Germans, they think they have all of the space that they need, but they literally get sandwiched just between two different teams. You can't move forward because you have gentlemates waiting for you, and you can't manage to disengage from that fight if you want to because Onyx is laying in wait. So a great rotation from Onyx. They are managed to hold on through, and it's netted them some success. For the gentlemates, though, you now have your opposing French squad. It's, of course, Team He's. It's your old teammate who's here trying to gain this ground. And, well, with a little bit of help from Ninjas in Pajamas, that push is going to absolutely be put to bed. And you're now just giving control of green for free. Gentlemates doing a fantastic job of moving up from that stronghold. They want to sit here because, mind you, folks, we got Gromalok, we got Enkyo. They're playing up here in green and still back in stronghold. He is Hollow with the HDR in hand. They've managed to basically gain control of this top 75% of the circle realistically. So if they could just keep their eyes peeled, keep kind of looking through these windows like you see Gromalok doing right now, they are setting themselves up for a great map because you can look in that mini map and so many squads are trying to battle it out from the factory side right now.
Yeah, this is where the thick of the action is going to be. Seeing at least 5 of our teams try to rotate out of here. Enkyo gets cut crossing. PA is going to be called in. Can Enkyo pull off that self in time? Probably going to be able to do it. You can see him moving on the minimap and able to hop in through the window. So the gentlemates survive for now. But as we rotate on over, Hydra will actually find VAP. SV's in the sky. Lipton, well, he's trying to survive in the factory as well. And right now that team just continuing to have a tough afternoon. But Hydra on our screen, this is that new team. We didn't know much to expect when they came into closed qualifiers. You get yourself into the finals and everyone starts to look at you just a little bit. Hello over the top. Oh, nearly.
Just nearly, but in the middle of all that commotion, Vanitos, they're taking on it down as well. So they will no longer be on this map, and I think, you know, if you are the gentlemates, you probably make the right call. Go ahead, you don't have to take this fight against ELF if you don't want to. You can go ahead, you can back on up. They know that's a formidable squad. Onyx still in this building right now, doing a fantastic job of laying claim to this sort of area of the map. It's the edge of zone. If they play patient here, maybe have somebody get on top of a roof, just play some of these windows well, you might be able to catch a lot of these squads trying to be able to rotate on over from factory. A couple of water battles going in on the outside as well between Fnatic and Team Decky going on through. We can see, of course, yet again more French on French action as Team Azen, they decide to push the gentlemates as well. Yep. A couple of our regions battling it out in various parts of the map.
Yeah, that could be a huge problem for the gentlemates later on because you lose your foundation and ELF are on the hunt to clean this on up. Angsien will die on screen, so that'll be Fnatic cleaned up by Team Decky. And, well, the problem you have here for the gentlemates is you lose your anchor to the other Frenchman. As such, you've got to back up, you give up all the work that you've done in green, and then you have a couple more squads recognized as a gap to punch through towards Stronghold themselves. Onik are one of those not too far away. We've got to be careful here, getting a little bit over angsty. And well, he does have a player trap, but I like that call. Wait for bubble, let him activate the other side. Beautiful patience, beautiful cleanup.
Yeah, you bring down VAP. You manage to kind of ensure that nobody's going to be able to push from this bottom side, and I think that's the right call to be able to bring that player on down. You don't want to let that team sort of regain from that area. Unfortunately for you, though, the other two teammates are still up. You're going to see a smoke go out on that loadout. They can manage to grab some of the equipment that they need. We're into the top 9 here, folks. Resurgence has ended, so any kill here will put you off the map. And guess what? I think there's probably maybe one buy station left in zone down towards Stronghold. So you have to play your life. You have to play alive. The Gentlemates, Stronghold has been their playground all day long, but guess what? They got some new friends looking to play. You can see ELF, they've made their way on in. You have, of course, Azen starting to make their way on over. A couple other squads trying to get there, but towards the top side, Living Quarters. Bubble continuing to slide around, find these kills. They are farming this Team Lipton squad. And it looks like for there, they're going to see that the zone pulls away a little bit, get into green. And I'm getting a little deja vu from last game here today, because Ninjas in Pajamas, they're continuing to run amok intense.
Yeah, this appears to be where they like to set up. A couple of teams trying to hedge their bets and play a little bit Living Quarters, a little bit Stronghold like the Gentlemates. Ninjas in Pajamas, they just go to hell with it and stick themselves dead center of tents, willing to fight anything that they come across. However, that may lead to more trouble than it's worth as Disrupt finds a knock onto AJ and leaves them in a recovery spot. You do get AJ back up at least and avoid the cluster, but not for long as Cams finds the knock himself. Novo looking to lay claim to tents themselves.
Yeah, I kind of like this Novo. They're basically taking a page out of course, Team Decky's book from that last game, realizing that, hey, we can play this wall and we can basically cut off the team that's trying to play green and manage to hold Ninjas in Pajamas that are there. Still down at Stronghold, though. The Gentlemates, they're going to activate against Azen, wipe them off the map. See you later. They're managing to lay claim here and still hanging on by their teeth. It's Team Decky. Decky, unfortunately, will get found out by ELF, and it's just StukX for the time being. He's laying in the water, pistol in hand. You're just playing for placement at this point. Get to that top 5. Get to the 1.4 times multiplier if you can. Unfortunately for you, you have SV, who's out in the water. With any luck here, maybe ELF can take you on down. Seeing some great shots. Come on out. Lennon, FIFA kill, Echo. They're trying to be able to clean up this kill, but SV is just making it a little bit too hard. That's there. Meanwhile, towards the top side, you have Onyx operating against Ninjas in Pajamas. So both of these top squads, they're trying to fight different sides of the map, and just look where this zone is pulling. It's wide open spaces, my friend. Very limited opportunity for cover. Where are you going to try and set up?
Top 7. So everyone right now tucking in, trying to play for that extra bit of multiplayer available to you for top 5. We lose another team in Decky. You fly out to the Frenchman, you find Authentics, but not without a drop of blood being spilled. So you have to regroup, play back on up, consider your rotation as it pulls away from you. The Gentlemates will look to their minimap and sigh a regretful, warningful one, knowing the rotation that they've got to cover next. Swizzen from the top rope will find Lennon, pushing on up towards ELF, who worked so hard to punch on through. Swizzen's found more. The smoke will be a nuisance for now, but the hip fire is there. There goes Echo. Thief on his own will clean it on up, wipe that team off the board inside top 4. And the Gentlemates, you still have Hollow rotating up, but who's here from all the fights earlier? Novo. They've got a little bit of presence.
Ah, man, yet again, looking down at the Gentlemates, and here's Novo. While all of that fight was happening, we saw Onyx. They took down Ninjas in Pajamas, so they managed to kind of get a little bit of revenge from that last game. But Novo, they've done what they needed to do. They pushed on forward, but Bubble, he's actually cut down Hollow in the meantime. And Enkyo, yet again, last alive for the Gentlemates. He's not going to make the same mistake as last game, though. He's operated up through the tents. He's gained some of the high ground. It's a 2v1v1. And Novo, you have to be careful here, because if you try to decide to take one of these fights as a 2v1, very quickly, that other solo can activate for you. Bubble, he's made his way inside that building. Enkyo, he has a full line of this. I mean, if he sees this happen through, blast traps are there. Do you manage to make it happen? Trophy system will stop some of those lethals and tacticals from going on out. And Enkyo is just waiting here. This zone's going to squeeze all these players on in, and I think Enkyo, he might have the best spot. Bubble, he's going to be the one to push on forward, weaving in and out of the cracks. It goes on down. Vortex, he's the one that slides on out, finds Bubble, and Enkyo, he's going to try and get some of those shots on in. You find one on the outside, but the shots get just a little too shaky. Gentlemates, they'll take second, but Novo will be able to play from the tent and take game number 4.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering just how much of the blast trap Enkyo took himself there for a moment. Unfortunate the way it all pans out, but Novo will be paid out for their early route into tents. They fought for it against Ninjas in Pajamas, pushed them into Stronghold, and they also had to do the dance with Onyx in order to make sure that that landmass was theirs. And as the circle pulls everyone back uphill that survived in the Stronghold, they're there to clean it up and find themselves also fighting some stragglers to take the map and continue what feels like a bit of a resurgence after some slower bits earlier on. That 4th place in map 1, sure, but from there on, we've then seen them really come online, understanding the checkboxes they need to tick and ascending themselves into one of our top spots.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of teams, I think, really understanding where do they need to set themselves up on this map to ensure the greatest amount of success to lead towards those other ends. Hey, man, I gotta say, I know map number 2 was RNG with Cams finding that self-revive in the gas, but Novo Esports leading our pack with a 50% win rate on our lobbies here through the first 4 maps that we have. Some great stuff that we are starting to see. Man, these zone pulls are pulling us everywhere on Rebirth Island, and I am loving it. A lot of these teams trying to have to really play on their feet, really adapt to what's given to them, and that is the exact type of skill set you need if you are trying to get to Riyadh in August. Through our first 4 maps, ladies and gentlemen, we got 4 more coming at you. Stay locked in with us, because we're going to go ahead and go to a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be taking a look at that leaderboard to see who are our current top 7 teams as we get ready to move on into map number 5. 4 games down, 4 more to go. Your opportunity to go to Riyadh for the Esports World Cup for Call of Duty Warzone is dwindling. For some of our teams, their hopes are bright. And for some of our others, the grind starts now. This is where you have to turn it around if you haven't had a first 4 games that really kind of net you some success that you're feeling good about. Dandro and Enigma here bringing you all of the action. We're going to take a little bit of a halftime break while we get those final scores wrapped and tallied on for you and take a look at that scoreboard. Enigma, let's talk about what we've seen from these first 4 games that have really stuck out to us.
Yeah, a couple of different storylines coming into this one. I think one to focus on is Team Onyx, Vanitas, and Heeds. Now, you and me, we kind of did our due diligence, went about, pulled together a map, and found out where everyone was kind of landing and whether or not they had any alternate strategies. But these 3 teams are contesting each other for the exact same drop spot. Now, we ourselves said to each other, kind of, oh, we'll be interested to see how long that lasts. And it becomes an even bigger conversation when we look at the fact that really, I think only Onyx are kind of handling themselves very well in that situation. Even then, you're still chalking each other a little bit, but all 3 teams finding that blender difficult to recover from, and it's making mid games tough, in particular for that Heat squad.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think we're going to see a little bit of that when we take a look at that last match leaderboard to take a sort of peek at what is happening with some of those squads. You can see there, Onyx, like you mentioned, they kind of seem to be the only team that's really taking advantage of that. We saw them take control of that green. They're going to be able to get 23.8 points, which is, oddly enough, 17 kills and coming in 2nd through 5th. Well, that's what's going to happen. Gentlemates, ELF, and Onyx all on the same point distribution there. Novo, though, they end that game number 1 with 19 kills, netting them 30.4 points. I think when we kind of look at the right side of the map, though, my friend, a couple of teams who they cannot have games like this. Rock Esports is one. Fuzz and Penta and Melvin is one. Fnatic is one. Some of these squads that we have big expectations for or who are just on the bubble, you cannot be having games like that.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different stories here for sure. Like, as I just mentioned about Vanitas and Heat's team, Hierson, that's a combination of both. A love child, perhaps, but it's a case for both of those squads where you're involved in this early contest and you're continuing to draw blood on each other, but it's more your blood being spilled than others. So do we see them peel off? I think that this is the time to maybe assess your game plan, especially if you're Heeds right now. This has been a tough afternoon, and find a different landing spot to go and fight over. For Team Fuzzy, Pentagon, and Melvin, now I love these gentlemen very, very much so, but you're going to see here, they have slipped down the leaderboard into 11th after what has been a great start. And one of the things they did in that last map, which kind of comes into the story that I want to tell, is to not panic, stick to your game plan, stick to your teammates, and just play out what got you into this position in the first place. Because one of the moments there where Pentagon goes off looking for a couple of kills, gets over-aggressive, trying to desperately clean up a kill that he's knocked, and then it leaves him in a situation where he's basically third-partied by 3 different teams, and then those squads roll over his other teammates that are still alive where they initially wanted to land. It's moments like that, you can't get into that tunnel vision. You got to make sure you're thinking of the big game plan, the big picture at all times.
And that's going to be very, very important, especially with these overall rankings. Because like you saw there, top 5, they're starting to pull away from the rest of the pack. About a 20-point difference between 5th and 6th, okay? So those place number 6, place number 7, that is what we're going to see a lot of fight for, okay? I'm kind of looking at some of the numbers on our side, and we can see in 6th is Onyx with 61.2, and then it's a 10-point gap from them over the team in 7th, which is currently Fnatic, 51.4. And then from there, that's where we get this nice little grouping, basically, for that 7th, that final seed going into EWC. That is, of course, you got Fnatic at 51.4, and then it's Vanitas, Rock, Aim Assist Abuser, and Fuzz and Pentagon and Melvin. A little bit out of there is also SVH, so it's kind of a nice little chunk there at the bottom. So for some of these teams who, some games are having some absolute lights out games, and then we're watching like 1 or 2 point games afterwards, you have to really nail down that consistency that you're able to get there, especially when we kind of talk about that's something that a team like ELF, they've been so good at, right? Haven't been able to win a game yet. They almost took that game number 2 to be able to bring it their way, but either way, they've been finding themselves in that top 5 every single match, especially in that last one, right? We see where obviously they're kind of getting pushed out, and right from behind them, they have a team that's pushing them forward from Team Aim Assist Abuser, but they make the read that both of them turn around, find that kill. It's the exact squad wipe they need to go from either ending in 6th to ending in 5th. It's that extra 0.2 points. And when you're a team that's going to get kills regularly, that's the level of consistency that will put you in this top 5 grouping that is managing to pull away from the pack.
Yeah, and consistency has been, as we've said, the thing that we're looking for all the way through the day. And for some of those teams alongside them, Decky going to be one of those other squads that we're looking at and going, right now, you boys are absolutely flying. Novo, as we've said, won 2 maps out of the 4. For a lot of these other teams, I think that's what we're seeing. That top 5 is consistently solid. There's been a couple of like minor slip-ups, but other than that, it's looking like, you know, these are the teams that are setting themselves a class above. For everyone else, it's about finding that. For Onyx, it feels like you're hot one second, cold the next. Fnatic, the problem for them seems to be that they're heavily circle dependent. They either get to play bio weapons, which is one side of the map entirely, or they have to land somewhere randomly. They've not enjoyed the factory landing at all. Twice now they've struggled there because Team Decky just seem to have a complete stronghold over that map, over that part of the map, sorry. So yeah, I think that right now for Fnatic, who sit in that 7th place, it's a case of, okay, if bioweapons becomes yours again, the one time you've had that so far, you didn't manage to, you had your anchor out in the submarine, sure, but you don't put yourself in a position ever to control anyone rotating towards you. You end up in just this layer cake fight that never really paid off for you. So if you get that zone again, you got to do a better job of clearing it up and claiming it early to set yourself up for that better mid and end game. Otherwise, I got to see a different landing spot. They've got to find somewhere else. Twice at factory, not worked. There's a lot of different locations where teams are struggling, and we got to see them do a bit of VOD review in these breaks that we're getting and go, okay, well, let's try this one if we end up with that stronghold circle again. Maybe, I mean, we're seeing Decky, for example, lay claim to that factory, but then push out in towards that boat side. Maybe that's something that they can go and fight for and find out exactly why Decky are looking so good right now.
Well, I'm kind of right there with you. I almost would like to see them say, hey, you're across these first 4 maps, you've had your most success when you've landed bio. I understand the zone nut is always going to be there, but it's okay. You can land bio, right? There's a lot of loot there. You got a buy station usually not too far away. We haven't really been seeing any team like land industrial. Sometimes you might have ninjas in pajamas kind of flexing on over from basically that, you know, if they do kind of want to pull over from the boat that's on control side, if they want to flex over towards that bunker, that's going to realistically kind of be the only team you have to worry about. Maybe ELF pushes on over from Chemical, but we've been seeing them. They're focused more on that harbor forward side. So it's just kind of like, hey, land bio. It's okay. You know, you might not see some action for a little bit, but I think for them, if they can get stabilized, they have the positioning, they have the knowledge, they have the gun skill in order to make their way through a map. They're a very talented team. I think they just need to worry about not getting thrown into that blender, like you mentioned, too early on. Get on in, get those UAVs, get your loadout, get everything you need to feel then good about pushing forward, obviously, across the map that's there. Because you can't be having, like we mentioned, some of these games where you're getting 1 or 2 points. This team is much better than that for sure. They should be putting up very much consistent points.
I mean, there's a point that you raised there, and I think the conversation here becomes even more important when you look at the fact that right over their shoulders, Vanitas and Rocket Esports, 2 teams that you expect to not be having this kind of struggle through a map. So, yeah, we expect them to, you know, those 2 teams to get better. As such, you yourself have to step on up. And you're right about that ELF conversation. We've seen them multiple times now, just heading on through a harbor, finding ways. I mean, they punch all the way into strongholds last map. That's how quickly they're hitting those southern rotations. So not too worried about the Fnatic presence. So with that in mind, Fnatic then what? You got to play in through industrial, play in through prison, these kind of locations that could, yes, run you into big teams that we know are there right now, but I mean, right now, you've tried alternate strategies. It's just not paying off. So something different got to be needed for sure. Taking a look here at our leaderboard and kind of like taking a quick look at, you know, where these teams have been consistent so far. One team that we've passed over a little bit, but really maybe we should do more talking about Ninjas in Pajamas. Feels like all the way through, they're just doing their thing. Obviously a huge map 3, but sitting up there in map 4, it feels like they've still not had one of those takeover games that we know they're capable of. So that could be a team to well pay attention to into our final half.
I'll be honest with you, I think it's because a lot of times we're looking at these teams that are having these elongated battles between each other, and I just don't think Ninjas in Pajamas are having them. I think they're just straight up rocking 3 people on top of a team and just going ahead and getting the team wipe and just looking really good. That's how they're getting to these end game scenarios, just making it look absolutely flawless. So maybe we'll be able to kind of get a little bit of a sense on how they want to go ahead and what is leading them to that opportunity to have some momentum. For obviously this team already, we saw Vanitas kind of flex over towards prison just a little bit, but they do get cut on down. But this battle continuing to wage on between these 3 teams. that are there. Decky still down there towards that factory side. Do not have to worry about that. And actually, Enigma, I'm kind of looking at our side, and we're starting to see Fnatic. They've gone ahead. They've landed bioweapons, but we were wondering, what's Ninjas in Pajamas doing? They're taking this fight to them over at Bio already. We're seeing some of that in the kill feed that's there while these two teams go ahead and battle it out at headquarters side. And Onyx, I think they're going to try and still come on out. It's actually Melvin just come on over, finds Blade, so they're going to get into the action as well. This is what you have to be worried about when there's a team who says, hey, what we've been doing hasn't been working. Let's sort of change up the strategy for the Germans. It's let's move up to headquarters early. Let's get into this mix.
Yeah, and I much prefer seeing a team that is right on that bubble change things up than rely on something that's proven inconsistent so far. The entirety of the Onyx squad decided to set up in the tower, so Pentagon's going to use that PA to try and drag them down into the building. The one thing I will say, you want to make sure your teammates are here to protect you when you do this, and Freddy, well, actually, he's found his way up. Timing could not have been better as he climbs the ladder just as Onyx flee that PA. And so that strong power position that we know is so important for anchors will be laid claim to by the Italians. Pentagon will find Zanks though, so the Italian support will not be there for a moment. It is interesting you mentioned about that bioweapons land and how Ninjas in Pajamas pushed that out so quickly. Also then curious about how Team Decky will do on the rotation here, as they've got a long way to go, and we'll have a couple of teams up that harbor side before they can start to get themselves into another endgame.
I mean, look at that. Freddy lands on Disrupt, but I don't know if you see that. Hollow is actually the one to get that kill. He loves all of these teams fighting at that lighthouse, dude. He's just having a field day. Just using an HDR. He's just chilling, having a fun time. For Onyx, though, this is a little bit of a rough start for them. We see Bubble go down. AB Wiz, he's taken on out on the inside by Niacin. So some regain happening for Onyx Esports right now. Germans have moved on up. Pentagon, Melvin, and Fuzzin, they've gained control of Grandma's right now, looking over towards that prison side. Niacin lurking onto the middle. Just trying to make sure if there's anybody around him. You got Niacin down in the showers, it looks like there. Pentagon trying to be able to figure out. We actually have some members of the Gentlemates. They've managed to make their way on up here. And Pentagon, he actually goes on the hunt, and Gromalog finds a nice little angle. He'll get cleaned on up. Pentagon, yet again, getting cut on down for his team. Thankfully for Fuzzin, you got Melvin not too far away into this building. But Gentlemates, they're looking to push on forward. You got to be careful if you are the Germans right now, because the Gentlemates, they are on the hunt. They would love to be able to start to clean some of you up. But this weird prison headquarters, Grandma's area here, man, we're seeing a lot of new teams enter this area.
Yeah, Melvin will get awful timing. Enkyo activates off the fight between the German and his teammate and finds one. So with Pentagon knocked earlier, this puts that squad into a hell of a recovery situation, trying to avoid a spiral. Enkyo is going to take damage from elsewhere, and well, actually, Team ESC, they're in trouble, and they need to find a kickstart to their afternoon. Nielsen will find Zanks, then join Heeds on the push. However, going to be picked up by the nade. Blade with the C4. Does get the crack. Decides to push down, but as he recognizes two here, he won't care. Finds Nielsen. Other one was cracked. He's got a back on off. Heeds will be just held for a moment as Blade tries to lay claim to this prison stairwell and calls his teammates in for support.
Yeah, that's a tough read there if you are Heeds. I mean, he kind of makes the right call in backing on up, but I almost would have loved to see him kind of stand his ground a little bit with the teammate, try and get that trade, but being the last alive, you definitely would rather, hey, you know, you might miss out on some points, but at least you're able to make it deeper still. No team has been wiped already. Everybody playing their life beautifully so far. We can see Rock Esports, they've made their way inside of this prison area as we see Heeds get taken on out, but it looks like the battle getting back onto them from Vinitos. Lipton last alive for his team. We could see them potentially be yet again the first team off the map. Stay alive in the water if you can already. But for the Gentlemates, they've left the stronghold area because of the zone, and now they're just slowly but surely making their way up this side of the map. Not afraid to try and lay claim to some of this building. Fuzzin down on the bottom. Deployable cover will give him some opportunity here, and I like the idea saying, hey, I'm gonna cut off these angles. You don't have to manage to see here, but look what's happened. Vinitos, they've come on over. Enkyo is trying to be able to run away. Is not gonna be able to. Zanks is there for a nice little two-piece, and Fuzzin, he comes on up, and he's gonna try and play clean up, saying thank you for getting all of these players nice and softened up for you. But he's gonna be able to hit that buy station and just continue to kind of just be this rat in the basement, honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of these teams are going to have to start to assess that next rotation in the next minute or so, because that's going to pull you hard either towards prison or at least northward regardless. So it's about claiming something out that then lets you rotate as freely as possible. There'll be no such thing as an easy one with how small and condensed this map is, how much pressure you're under at all times. Pentagon will be cut down by Decky, the squad that have had a fantastic day so far. They did manage to punch themselves all the way up into the harbor, but Team Lipton actually put up a bit of resistance and sent a couple of them into Resurgence. And this squad are in trouble. They've not had a good day. Vidat just about stays up. Kazu will find one at least and pushes on out to cover his teammate as well. Beautiful work from him. He's getting Boy back in the fight. Up close and personal. And that is a swing. And that is Vision dealt with.
Vision taken on out. You thought it would have been there. You thought it would have been good. We are missing one team off the map, by the way, and that is going to be Team Swizzin taken on down, getting dropped on the other side of the map while all of this action is happening. But the fact that we got to the end of second circle before we see a team get dropped, I don't know if that is just because of the way this zone is starting to pull. We're seeing a lot more players play on that prison side. Everybody getting pushed to the outside of the map. I don't know, a lot more ground to play, but would love to see, obviously, maybe a little bit more aggression. It's coming on through. Pentagon, Melvin, and Fuzzin, they're still laying claim to this building. My only worry here, Enigma, is like, look at that mini-map. You have so many teams around you. The second this zone shifts, where do you try and rotate on out to? If you try and make any sort of move, somebody is going to have you in their sight, especially when you have the gentlemates across the way and Grandpa's looking over through that window. And yet again, these teams from prison who are looking down at you as well. Bubble trying to maintain control of this lighthouse. He's going to make the right call. He says, I don't need to fight for this anymore. Let me drop on down, potentially try and meet up with my team if possible, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Enkyo will be going down. Melvin activates on forward, able to get the cleanup. We see Gromaluk dropped as well. And where is Hollow going to be? Looks like a different area of that, potentially high in the sky, managing to stay online, but that's not until Ometic and King AJ, they get some shots on in. That's Gentlemates taken on out in 13th.
Yeah, we spoke about how their landing spot over by Stronghold meant that they would have a hellish rotation if it pulled off towards bioweapons. The circle has started to drop a little bit in towards prison, actually, so it's not as much of a rotation as expected, but it felt like once Hallow had to come and join the fight over in living quarters, Gentlemates never really got a foundation beneath them to really play out of. So tough for them. They will fall very, very early. And, well, at least they're part of that top 5 that I mentioned before. They established a bit of a shelf to the squads behind them. In your kill feed, by the way, you're seeing Fnatic absolutely slaughter ninjas in pajamas. And Team Decky, they've continued to just hold this side of the map as they push into Harbor. Next up, potentially considering pushing towards, squeezing towards that chemical engineering. And, well, Team SV, they will be our third team leaving this map.
Not a great day for them, for sure. Always feels like they're one of our first teams leaving the lobby. We've seen some great movement from them, some great opportunity for them to get some kills, but just feels like, unfortunately for them, they're not able to stay alive to get those teammates back on in. ELF, they've made their way down into the showers. Pentagon, Melvin, and Fuzzin are here. It's actually just Pentagon and Melvin. Gotta go ahead, back on up. A little bit of respect right now. You don't gotta push through that doorway if you don't want to. And we can see the Germans have backed on up, but as they've done that, Vision, he's been able to find Melvin. That's there. You only have these last two. ELF, they're trying to manage to stay alive for the time being, and it looks like they're gonna rotate on out. Try to go up to this upper level of prison to push a little bit deeper into this zone, because guess what, Enigma? This zone, it's pulling us out towards the dock side, out towards that bunker area. And we know a squad who likes to be out here. It's ninjas in pajamas, but they have been followed by Fnatic. 2 members taken on down. You still only have 1 more up here in the hut. Can you manage to win this fight? Do you try and take this? Looks like Fnatic, they don't want to push on forward here. They're not going to get aggressive. They're going to try and stick this res. You have Anxian on the other side. He's actually pushed his way on through. Shots coming on in with the LC-10. Can you manage to find them? I don't know, but Ometic, he's going to run on out. 360s off the side of the map, but Patsuka and Zach are fresh off the revive. 5. They find Omenik. Ninjas in pajamas wiped.
Yeah, reversal of fortunes here. So often it's been Ninjas in pajamas hunting Fnatic out of bioweapons. But this time the circle pulls onto the Ninjas landing spot. And it's actually going to be Fnatic who go back for blood and find their revenge early here to give them a great position for the next circle. Because this is what so many people are having to deal with elsewhere. This rotation through prison. As you can see, Nielsen, King Chalk, and Heeds eliminated as the LF come in through the back door. Lennon gets the plates in. LC10 in hand. Hip fire finds Prodigy.
Oh my
and there's a couple more on
God.
the board as Wars decides to push on out. See you later, son. You will be in the next lobby. ELF continuing to profit in this rotation.
Ooh, a lot of talk between these two squads about who's the best in Europe, who's the best English team, and guess what? ELF, they might have just proved that. Lennon, he's been shooting nukes all year, and it's off of plays like that that you make a name for yourself. Lennon going absolutely nuclear for his team to bring down Rock Esports, but they have to get out of prison right now. Enigma and Fuzzin, Pentagon, and Melvin, they might make that a little bit more difficult. They're on this rotation. Pentagon from Gas, he's going to find Echo, who's going to be the one to surge on forward. The other two members still out into this Gas. They're trying to find the time to get here, but you have, of course, Azen is looking on forward. He cuts them on down. FIFA kill will get found on out. Pentagon still in the Gas is dropped by none other than Lays. A late gas play here to bring down another team. And Lays tries to find Azen, who pushes on up, is not there. But look on the other side. You're managed to find them. ELF will get dropped though, but that is in number 5. They've yet again made it to top 5 that's here as a final 2 teams will come on down to the marker. You actually have 3 on 3 here on the outside, but Azen, he finds Stukex up top. He's going to be the one final solo remaining in the Gas. And Fnatic, you have to make sure you don't overheat. Azen gets cut on down, and look who is staring at them on the other side. Yet again, it's Novo Esports. Cams, Javi, they're trying to stay alive, but it's going to be Zakar, pushes on forward, able to help clean them on up. Enigma, we asked Fnatic, we said you have to come online here. Game number 5, it's do or die. They answer our call. They take the map.
Yeah, they came into this map in that 7th spot, as on the bubble as you can possibly be, and not even 7 points clear of Vanitas. And we've seen multiple times that they've changed up that landing spot. When you did land in Bio, you were getting squeezed to death by Ninjas in pajamas. When you went anywhere else, largely factory, you were being slaughtered by Decky. So what do you do this time? Well, it's still a bit of a mishmash fight for bioweapons, I'll be completely honest with you, nice and early. But they recover, they figure things out, they stabilize. And I was a little bit worried, okay, well, if you're going to try and rotate in from Bio, how does that look? We haven't really seen it so far. Are you going to be passive about it? Are you going to try and just slowly pick your way through? Absolutely not. They go for the jugular. They find Ninjas in pajamas and eradicate them straight out of their homeland. It's a beautiful play that then gives them that base to play out of as everyone tries to rotate across from prison. They have it set up so damn well. And that final fight was just the kind of gun skill, the technical ability that we expect out of this Fnatic roster. Lovely to see them announce themselves a little bit.
Well, and that's exactly the type of momentum game that you need if you are a team like Fnatic, right? Very easily, if they came into this game 5, right, maybe they just kind of, loosened themselves up after the first 4 games, tried to lock on in, and then, okay, yet again, you have another game 5 that doesn't go your way. You're probably looking a little downtrodden, you're not feeling too great. Come on back, you'll win game number 5 with a solid number of kills to, like you mentioned, they were right on the bubble to really maybe ensure, maybe punch up into this sort of upper echelon of players that we've seen towards the top, this grouping, this shelf that's been created. Hell, hey, you've announced your sort of spot here, and maybe you're sort of locking down that 6th spot. We'll have to wait and see as we get all of those scores tabulated and we look at that overall ranking. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on the back half of our series today, and it is continuing to deliver. We're going to go ahead, take a quick break, and when we come back, it is, of course, going to be map number 6. It's part of the Esports World Cup, Call of Duty Warzone EU Qualifiers.
run, I'll chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. This is all you ever wanted. Take it all, you deserve it. This is how we're gonna end it. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. Take it all, you deserve it. Take it all, you deserve it. Giving back the freedom you want to destroy. And my power's way too strong for you, so try. 'Cause you can't dominate and nor will you survive. And not this time, 'cause I'm the wiser of us two. I no longer blind the antithesis of you. The fire in my heart will only grow. If you shut the gates, I'll burn them down. I am 1,000 steps ahead of you. You'll see soon. If you shoot, I'll take it. If you run, I'll chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. This is all you ever wanted. Take it all, you deserve it. This is how we're gonna end it. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. If you shoot, I'll take it. If you run, I'll chase you. If you scream, I'll whisper. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. La-di-da-di-da-da-da. I am 1,000 steps ahead of you. You'll see soon.
Welcome back, everybody. Dandro and Enigma here for the Esports World Cup EU Closed Qualifiers. We are looking to send 7 teams to Riyadh in August to, of course, participate on land with so many of our other regions that are going on all weekend long. If you didn't manage to tune in to any of those regions, man, you missed out because it has been absolutely electric all weekend long. And my friend, Europe is not disappointing in any way, shape, or form.
No, it is not. It has indeed in other regions often come down down to less than a point for who gets through. Often in the final games, the final hurdles, the final fights. And I don't think that's going to change much here, because as we take a look at the leaderboard, we are going to see heading into our final couple of games that it is going to be tight. But of course, for that previous map, we've got Fnatic leading the way. And my friend, I don't think that surprises us one bit.
No, not at all. 18 kills, winning that map, 28.8. But the thing that kind of jumps off the page to me, man, I'm looking at this left side, and it feels like this is almost like a flip of our overall, because I'm looking at teams like Aim Assist Abuser, Rock, Fuzz and Pentagon, Melvin, Fnatic, like, who we've been really asking to come online. Well, hey, they take a little bit of a break after map number 4. They recenter as a squad, and we get some solid points on the board. For some of our top teams, though, and some who are kind of sitting on the edge, not a great map. I'm looking at teams like Onyx, 7.2 points, and well, for Gentlemates, they only get 8 points. Novo only gets 7. So thankfully for them, they've built up a solid buffer through those first 4. But guess what? Just because you've been able to do that does not mean this is your time to let the foot off the gas. Let's go ahead. Let's take a look how we're sitting in our overall. That are there. Still Ninjas in Pajamas leading the front, but it's not by much, as it is only 0.6 points that separates second through fourth, man. And Gentlemates, I hate to say this, they're starting to slip just a little bit. Still 20, a 20-point lead over currently in 7th Onyx Esports. But Onyx, you got to be looking over your shoulder, because you still have a couple of these teams who, hey, if they have one good map, they could be pushing you on out.
Yeah, and we're seeing a couple of these teams behind them heat on up as well. Aim Assist Abuser, Rock Esports, Fuzz and Penta, Melvin, they all had a decent map last time out. It's whether or not they continue that through our last 3. So Onyx very much so under pressure, and they are one of those teams we talked about. They're doing a lot of the contesting at that headquarters location. So it becomes a case of, okay, well, do you start to try and rotate out of that early, find somewhere else? If it's not clean at the start, it could well be chalking your progress. That being said, it's only 12 points to Fnatic, so an opportunity to really punch up into that top group if you have a banger map here. I hear what you're saying about Gentlemates. In many ways, a squad that we expect to be right at the very top, certainly talented enough. They are trying to execute that Falcons-esque strategy of last year. It's a case of might need a little bit of fine-tuning just yet, but as you said, every team that's north of them feeling pretty comfortable, but this is not the time to lay off the gas. Guarantee your ticket to Riyadh. And, well, one squad that won't be doing a damn thing this map, Team Swizzen. See you later, boys.
Dude, it took us 2 circles to finally have a team drop in that last game, and some teams don't even get their feet on the ground before getting dropped already here in map number 6. And Onyx, they might be doing the same thing. Bubble, he's able to find Niacin, and that might be just enough of the kill you needed to hopefully get some resurgence activated. He's trying to run away. Somebody is on the chase that's there, trying to be able to bring him on down, and Lays is actually going to be the one to find it. Just like that, 2 teams already eliminated. Onyx, you're on the bubble, and you get dropped in a second here in map number 6. Oh my gosh, already the aggression kickstarting.
Yeah, it could not be much worse if you are Onyx. You look at that leaderboard, know that every team that's right behind you right now is heating up, and you will fall with, I mean, maybe you get a point on the board. It's tough reading. Anyway, we've got to focus on the 12 teams that still remain. Still a lot to play for, of course. As a different situation going on potentially for the Germans, who have decided to hit factory really quickly. And Novo, they're straight out of control apart from their anchor and into dock on the hunt. That fight for control seems to have been given up for now. They must have pushed everyone else away. And we talked about this team and why they're being so consistent. This may well be why. They've got themselves control of so much of the map. Along here, next up would be Ninjas in Pajamas, but even they are starting to consider bioweapons, so you got a lot of room to run around in.
I mean, it was very interesting. I'm looking at the mini-map on our side, and I was loving, hey, Fnatic, guess what? They land back at bioweapons, but we see they have that anchor sitting out on the submarine, and what happens to the other 2? They pushing over towards Chemical, trying to go against ELF that's there. So we see a little bit of a scuffle that's going on, but they've backed on up now. It's not going to be ELF going against Team Lipton, and Ninjas in Pajamas, they're continuing to try and have that aggression over towards that bioweapon side. This headquarters fight, though, continuing to brew on out. King Chalk playing from below is trying to manage to see if you can find any type of angle that's there. And it looks like you hit the ladder. You've come out on the top. You might have found a little bit of a timing blade here, though. will be able, Marine in hand, Shirley coming off that ground loop, will be able to land on in to King Chuck. Cut you on down. Thankfully, if you are King Chuck, Nyson and Heats, they're over here towards that prison side, and, well, you do start seeing a push come on in, though.
Yeah, Gentlemates are very aggressive into living quarters. We've spoken about some of the struggles they've had on rotations out of strongholds. Seems their answer to that for now is let's just get really bloody aggressive with it. Enkyo will crack one. Hallow over the top, and he supports beautifully. Unfortunately, that's actually going to go to Pentagon, who's looking on over from near a Grandma's. And Pentagon's going to knock a lot of different players, doing a far better job of sticking with his teammates than he was doing previously. We called that out. He clearly heard us and decides, well, actually, it's going to be consistency and safety that saves the day for now. Doesn't fly on into those fights. For Gentlemates, though, again, you are so much more advanced this time round in rotation than you've been multiple times on zones just like this. And Hallow, he has himself top green control. He's able to look on over and support.
You can see in the kill feed, though, Fnatic, they're finding a number of kills on that Ninjas in Pajama squad. So obviously, you know, landing bioweapons is fine. Nip, they think that they can push on over. They think this is going to be an easy fight, but Fnatic, they're not going to allow that to be easy. It's going to force them to back on up. But I think for Ninjas in Pajamas, it's not a bad idea. You know that you have basically a lot of this side of the map to yourself. Nobody's playing industry side. You can go ahead. You can back on up. Everybody, though, is just flying on forward. Zanx finds a great kill onto Pentagon for the time being. You see the Gentlemates, though, because of this zone, has pushed them out of the stronghold. Azen's had to move on up as well. That's here. Prodigy on the top side of prison. They're going to go ahead. They cut down Heeds and Niacin, and just like that, Squad 7 will drop. So no more opportunity for them. It's been a very tough day. But on the other side, Lays and Decky, they're finding members of the Gentlemates. It's just going to be Hollow left alive at living quarters.
That's why you do have an anchor at least playing his part, and we'll get his squad back in, or at least try to. Anyway, Fnatic have tried yet again to fight for Chem. They did a great job of pushing an IP away from bioweapons. Just when it seemed like they'd lost that fight, they managed to springboard back into it. But this is the second time now they've tried to squeeze at Chem. Both times been shut down. And Echo, Len and Thief, they are going to be now on the hunt for NIP themselves. Pushing, find AJ. Omenic though picks up Echo amongst the mess. Len is going to try and cover for just a moment. Fnatic also arriving into this. It's not just going to be them either. You start to get ELF, no, Rock coming to rotate on in. I was trying to pick out up who that was. And now, all of a sudden, 4 teams scrabbling over a very small landmass. Prodigy finds Patsuka. And just like that, for a moment, Rock can breathe. Try and hunt these last few down before LF sees up whether they want to hit this again.
Prodigy going absolutely huge. 2 fantastic kills. We know what Prodigy can do. We know how good of a player he's been. Looking to put a little bit of respect on his name for sure. Decky and Stukex on the outside, trying to go ahead, fight the Gentlemates. For Lays right now, though, he's trying to dodge his way in and out of this building. But look who's trying to be able to maybe come on up, play a little bit of third-party action right now. It's Melvin, Pentagon, and Fuzzin. Can they activate? Can you manage to squeeze the Gentlemates on into this building? If you can you push them on in? Maybe a little bit of team help from the Germans. In the kill feed, though, Novo Esports taken on out already as well. Back-to-back rough games from them. And look at that. Fuzzin will actually be able to take down Hollow and Enkyo at the same time. Some patience comes huge for you. Blast traps through the window. Thankfully, you still have 1 member alive from the Gentlemates, but you're not getting a lot of kills if you are that French squad. ELF still over here at Chemical, trying to be able to fight Fnatic. This has just been a fight that has gone on for so long, and it's just absolutely a bloodbath. Back and forth. Patsuka, only one alive. He's going to jump down into the water. Lennon, though, he's not going to let you stay alive. He's not going to let you stay here, hunting in the water with pistol in hand. He cuts down Patsuka. I don't know if it was enough in time. It wasn't. They still managed to get their teammates back on in, but for ELF, they've gained control of Chemical.
Yeah, and Thief kills sniffs a rat, and he's correct too, because AJ is in behind you, so trying to set yourself up in Chem for that next set of rotations that the Italians are laid siege to by Team Decky. Again, this squad continuing to take on juggernaut teams and push them aside. Exian pushing Stukex as such. Decky's just going to look on over, make sure his anchor is well protected. And I like that Stukex is playing this side of the boat. Doesn't get over aggressive. It's going to let his squad support him if required. And well, a very interesting situation here is Team Lipton, who've had a really tough day, are currently trying to hunt Hallow down in the water, who I think was playing just to let his boys back in. Does a great job as anchor. His boys do manage to float in. Their recovery, however, and that is far from guaranteed at this point.
I mean, Enkyo, listen, it's been a little bit of a blender game for them, but at least Enkyo does have 6 kills already. So managing to kind of make the most out of what you have. Still over at control, though, this fight. Aizen will push Vortex into, of course, your teammate, but Ninjas in Pajamas, they're on the outside, they're below. We're seeing some nades get thrown up through the windows as they start to push on forward. Kazu slides on out just a little bit, but Aizen here at the bottom finds King EJ. Ometic answers on back, though. Aizen has to go huge. Ometic taken on down, and where's Steve-O? Well, he's all the way back at the ammo shack. Has this buy station, has the cash. We'll be able to at least get Ometic back on into the mix. So a little bit of maybe an overheat from Ninjas in Pajamas there. You're going to be playing as 2 on this regain. Still on the inside, Rock Esports, a team that's been heating up, a team that needs to start doing well. Prodigy from the top rope is there. Teammate will slide on out and help. That's a great win to be able to have your managed and controlled grandmas here. One of the last final few buildings in this zone.
So much action here at Factory, at headquarters. All these squads just scrambling for any semblance of cover. Oh, Deki, I mean, technically you're going to be turned on by Enxian, but you're getting shot from elsewhere as you try and engage into that fight. So now Stukex going to try and give himself a moment to slip away into the night. Will be joined, actually, by a player from Fnatic as they try and recover. I think it's actually Enxian. But the Gentlemates, on their own quest for recovery, will be squaring off against the Germans. Fozza, Penta, Melvin. They're just going to be essentially layered on top of each other here. It's all about who picks up this rotational fight first. And well, both of these squads trying to pick up bits and pieces to help them in that next fight. And then you've got a hell of a rotation continuing to push north.
Zone number 3 coming to a close. You can feel the pace of the lobby has absolutely come to a snail's crawl. As everybody's just laying in wait right now, trying to figure out where can we make some sort of play here? Where can we start to maneuver? Gentlemates trying to be able to figure out how can they surge on forward. You have to be worried, though. Fuzz and Pentagon and Melvin, they are looking right at your backs, but they're trying to do the same just from above. And you got to be a little bit careful here because eventually you're going to start butting heads. While that's happening, Fnatic taken on down by Ninjas in Pajamas as well. So they come back swinging in map number 5, but it's still an early exit for that roster. Pentagon trying to weave his way bottom side of this building. Can you find some of these fights? Engio is taken on down. Fuzzin, the shots are there. He runs out of ammo, though. Melvin, he cleans up on the other side. It kind of comes down to a 1v1 between these two squads. And I think if you're Melvin, you just got to try and sit in place. For Hollow, he has to try and go ahead and back on up. Do you have the cash to try and get the teammates back on it? I don't think you do. Melvin, though, slides on out into the street. Hollow just able to stay alive. Slides back on in. This is not looking good for the Gentlemates.
Oh, Melvin does incredibly well because he actually gets rushed by Stukex and Lays, and you're going to end up with his teammates getting back in at least, but I thought for sure he would die. Instead, manages to turn, burn, Pentagon, going to clean up what's left of the Gentlemates, and this feels much more like it for a team that we are seeing right on that bubble. Need to pick up, though, if they're going to get themselves through to Riyadh, and, well, Melvin tries something a little bit stupendous, and Stukex will cut that down quickly. That buy station won't be open for now, so you've just got to hit the rotation. Lays will get back into the fight, and, well, that's all we'll see of Stukex and Deki for now, so they've got to figure out their next move. 7 squads left. Circle's going to compress everybody really heavily into one side of prison. So for those outside, we've got to rotate and look who's waiting in the windows on Overwatch.
Yeah, you have this courtyard that's going to be here, and I like what I'm seeing. You have Echo just kind of sitting in this window, making sure nobody can play this outside sort of wall. FIFA kill, looking down range with a sniper, daring anybody to throw a shoulder. That's here. And, well, on the top of prison, it's Rock Esports. They're here. Only 2 more teams need to be taken on out for them to be able to make to that top 5. Great shots from Prodigy coming in, but it just feels like every time we're checking in with the team and they're trying to get set up, I'm just looking at that kill feed and Ninjas in Pajamas. They are still managing to find these kills across the map, looking good.
Yeah, they got blessed for an earlier situation where they looked like they should have been down and out, and then all the action was actually Factory and headquarters, so they went back up towards Dock, reset, recovered, and have profited ever since. Just a lesson there in patience from them. Prodigy's going to counter this with a PA. That'll send, obviously, NIP scrambling, essentially off towards the gas. Steve was actually going to find a knock onto Cams, and Echo up high, finds Wars. Rock trying to rotate underneath, and ELF not giving them a chance in hell.
No, absolutely not. Echo making a great call, understanding where these players have to kind of rotate on through, and he's managed to make his way towards this scaffolding, trying to just basically play this a little bit ahead. Down below, Vanitos, they're trying to be able to stay alive for right now, but unfortunately, just too many teams are looking at you. You go ahead, you get wiped. A couple teams get dropped. We are into the final 3. Look who's still here. Fnatic, they're actually still online. Maybe they are getting a little bit of interesting things that are there. Squad wipe. Ninjas in Pajamas, they wipe ELF. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Nip, they come on through. They secure their 2nd win of the day. And it just looks like playing this low ground as the zone pushes them on up. They back on up. And next thing you know, it's just a couple of score streaks that catches some of those players on the edge of the zone. Ninjas in Pajamas going huge.
Yeah, I mean, again, they were finding themselves in a tough spot early on, and we asked this so many times about our teams. Yes, it's all good and well to perform well when it's going fantastically, swimmingly well, but what do you like when you're put under pressure, when suddenly you have to ask yourself a couple of questions of when do we engage, how do we make these smart decisions, and well, they decide to play patient. There's all that action going on at factory headquarters. They just go, okay, let's send it back to dock. It's relatively quiet over there. Get our loadouts together, tool up, and then go back in for the fight. And as such, they just third party so many teams that are also trying to rotate in there in bits and pieces, whereas they're fully ready and armored up, ready for that fight. But I think I got a call on over to ELF there. They're going to come 2nd in the end, but it felt like that they laid claim to that prison spot, cut down those teams rotating in, and a bonus personal shout over to Echo. He's the player that cuts down was as he's coming in, dives off the top to give a different angle to kind of watch that courtyard from. And there's a moment there where he's getting shot at by the Italians. Now, he could have gone down. That could have been everything we saw for ELF, but he just hunkers down, bides his time, and lets the gas creep over the Italians as such, meaning that they have to move, gives him that window to slip out and clean up a couple more kills. So brilliant work from one of the greatest minds we have this side of the pond. And another example of ELF and Ninjas in Pajamas, of course, looking consistent and looking great throughout qualifiers.
Yeah, I know that we definitely weren't worried about, I think, maybe their performance here today, but I think more importantly, they're showing that in a lobby like this, one of the toughest in Europe that you could potentially have for at least Rebirth Island, hey, they're showing out that they deserve to be at the Esports World Cup and that they deserve to be a team that has some respect put on their name. We are through 6 maps, ladies and gentlemen. We only have 2 more left. 7 spots going, of course, to Riyadh. And I got to imagine those spots number 6 and 7 are looking very, very close. So we're going to go ahead, take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be taking a look at that leaderboard and get ready to lock on in for these next 2 maps. Things are starting to heat on up. We only have 2 more maps of our closed qualifier to see who will be making their way to Riyadh in August. I'm Dandro, that's Enigma. We got to break down some of these leaderboards, man. Let's start with, of course, that match, because we had some real winners and, well, quite frankly, some real stinkers. Ninjas in pajamas, they're able to come out on top, 17 kills, but they're joined by ELF. So just a difference in multipliers there. But yet again, Rock Esports, Fuzz and Pentagon and Melvin, they're finding their way into the end game scenarios here. And unfortunately for teams like Onyx, they needed to have some consistency. They don't actually get any points in that game.
Yeah, it's tough to look at the bottom right-hand side of that leaderboard. See, zeros is just insane. And there's a couple of squads as well that needed better. I'm talking HNK here with 4. Vanitas have had a tough afternoon as well with 6 there. Fnatic, yeah, 9 on the board as well, when they thankfully had that previous game go pretty well. But it's just that push that they're struggling with so hard into Chem. They're managing to do a better job of fighting Ninjas in Pajamas. Interesting, because then Ninjas in Pajamas win that map. But Fnatic trying to push ELF out of Chem just is not happening at all. Looking on the left-hand side of our screen, great news for Rock Esports. They need this. They have to come online if they're going to find that top 7.
No, looking very good. Well, let's take a look at our overall, because, man, we have a couple teams that are just on the outside looking in. Currently, Aim Assist Abuser, 2 very solid games back-to-back. They have now managed to find themselves in that 7th seed. Fnatic, even though it was a little bit of a rough last game, guess what? They still have a little bit of buffer, but they cannot let the foot off the gas. They need to continue to have some success if they want to hold this 6th place spot. Game over game, though, Enigma. I'm watching this Gentlemates team in 5th. I think they're safe, but they have to still maintain to get some points here on these next sort of couple of maps that we have. So looking at that 7th place spot, a number of teams have their eye on it, and I fully believe it comes down to these last final 2 games.
Yeah, if you are Gentlemates, if you are Fnatic, you're probably feeling a little bit comfortable, but like it's still a case of you're looking over your shoulder and there's what at least 4 teams that we can see like having 2 maps that will lift them. But it's time to find out. It's a little bit do or die, not necessarily last chance saloon, but the penultimate game on top of us as we load in here. And well, of course, it's a fight straight for the tower. It's going to be the Italians clearing house as Onyx find more trouble, 2 dead immediately.
Onyx, you have to be careful. It's Disrupt. He's actually the only one left alive. Sees one on the stairs. He is just trying to run around with his nice stay alive. Makes the wrong turn, and Onyx, back to back, are one of the first teams eliminated. Another 0 on the board. And just like that, trying to stick to their guns, trying to stick to headquarters. Enigma, they might have just absolutely put the nail in the coffin that they are not qualifying.
Yeah, that is tough watching if you're a fan of this Onyx squad. And I know that you and me both like the gentleman across it and the story that it would be. I mean, at the end of the day, last year, we saw Bubble out there. He was coaching for Guild. We saw Wiz out there. He was with Sage Esports. Came in 6th in the end. So, you know, plenty of reason for those gentlemen to have seen what it's like out there in the World Cup and have every bit of hunger to get back. But, well, they will have to send it all in the final map if they're going to stand a chance. Look on over. ELF have actually pushed really hard here from Chem into Bio. In bits and pieces, but not looking too hot for a moment.
Oh, Vap found on out into the water. We'll actually be able to answer back onto Omenic. It was actually interesting. I was looking at that. It's not even ELF. It's just Lennon. Just Lennon has made his way on over to Bio. Trying to be able to maybe farm some of those kills, cause some chaos that's going on there. Maybe just find a little bit of opportunity to third party. Decky, Lays, and Stukex, though, still over here towards Factory. Looking to find some shots here. You catch Melvin heading on up that zip line. You're able to bring him on and down as you are managing to just control this roof of that Factory side. And you actually have a pretty clear path all along this bottom. So many teams absolutely split across. And well, for Vanitas, they are still just bringing it to this Heeds, King Chalk, and Niacin team. We see 2 of them get taken on out, and it's just going to be 1 left alive at the bottom of Prison. Niacin holding an angle, trying to get anybody to push towards them, but I am seeing the kill feed as well, Enigma. Lennon, he's finding some success over there in Bio.
He is indeed, and that will give you a real footing to play out from, considering that this was where the circle seems to be pulling off to quite heavily this time round. We've seen a couple of circles threaten to pull up towards Bio, but nothing with that much aggression. So ELF clearly recognized that and decided they want to go and lay claim. They'll be contested by Team Lipton for now, but considering how much Lennon's frying at the minute, and by the way, if you haven't seen his clip on Twitter of him slaughtering everybody in prison, please do go and watch it. Man's having himself an afternoon. A couple of teams that are struggling right now, ESC on our screens, is Heeds, Neason, King Chalk. They must come online at this point. Feels like the cleanest set of fights so far for this prison tower spot, but largely because Onyx fell immediately. It's given a bit of breathing room to everybody else.
Yeah, you can see ESC, they've kind of been, like you said, forced out of there. They have to manage their way through prison right now. You got one player still up in that tower, while the other two try to gain you some space right now. Vanitos trying to go against Rock Esports down here in prison. Prodigy slides on out. Shots get a little bit wide, but the hip fires are there from Vision in the staircase. I don't know if it's enough. Zanks is there, cleans up two. You should be able to get that revive if you need to. You're able to get the tap on in, and just like that, Rock absolutely taken on out by Vanitos. Some great shots from them. Down in control. VDOT on line, trying to be able to take this fight against Novo. It's been back-to-back games that they haven't been able to come online here. And well, for aim assist abusers, they might just be the thorn in the side of Novo. They'll gain control of this side of the map, and they are looking to push on forward. One last player, Novo alive, floating in the sky.
Yeah, Novo felt like a team that should have been comfortably clear at this point, but I start to become concerned about the back-to-back bad games that they've had, and now an awful start here as well, as you see Cam's getting knocked again in the kill feed. Tough situation for that team. Could not make it after all, and Nielsen finds Vortex. So you're literally in a resurgence blender right now, getting in by seconds, half seconds, and that's not a very maintainable position for long, as the Italians claim top prison. Contested now by ESC, who decided to join a bit of the party. Rock Esports will hear all this going on and likely push up the back of these stairs to third party this situation if they can. And where that will leave the Italians is not a very comfortable spot.
Ooh.
Do find at least a bit of a trade situation. PA on over the top, but Rock are here to join the party.
Pushing on forward, some battles heading out here on the top. You're actually going to see Heeds opt to just hop off that building just in a time. As Rock, like you mentioned, they're going to surge on forward and find Blade. But go ahead. Can you manage to find him? No. But they do actually. Blade gets knocked just with the final bullets. On the other side, King Chalk here on the roof will shoot out the skylights, drop on down below, just long enough to keep the team alive that's there. Rock Esports really laying claim to prison right now. Maybe this is what they needed. They just didn't have an area that they could really call home. And for the last couple maps, this zone has pushed a lot of teams into prison, and they've taken full advantage of that. Just kind of farming a couple of these teams already. King Chalk taking down Freddy yet again. Vanitos a little bit in a blender, but look who's kind of lurking on this outside of prison. Maybe they could activate if they want to come on up, try and clean up some of these teams. Decky, Stukex, and Lays, they are just on the outside looking to third party, but it's been these three teams at prison who've really been battling it on out, trying to be able to get as many points as they possibly can.
It takes a second. Find Sanks tucked away in one of the cells. The Italians in trouble here as the Frenchmen finally start to find a bit of a footing in one of these maps, but the Germans of Decky, Lays, and Stukex are going to creep their way up and into prison, looking to find a couple of these fights. He's going to round a corner and figure out exactly where his opponents are. That's the first one. Now, how do you roll on up here? Trying to third party the situation, potentially. King Chalk's going to find Blade. And it's just back forth. Three teams scrabbling over the same room.
Wow.
And Decky, Lays, they find Chalk. Nielsen's inside, and they are gone. The ESC, and I just ask a question of, did you need to stick around for that fight? Could you have backed off, brought your teammates back into the fight? We won't know. Decky and Cole won't care. On to Rock Esports.
Rock still on this inside, though, and look at this. Lays and Decky, just both of them fly on forward. They find Vision, they find Prodigy. It means the Wars is going to be the last one away, trying to make his way on out of it. Is going to be able to get to that buy station, get the buys going, and that's there. Meanwhile, in the kill feed, I see Novo has been dropped. ELF over here on this industrial side, continuing to slay on out. Lennon absolutely going wild. Blade will get taken on down by Ninjas in Pajamas. That's Vanitos taken on out of the map. And Decky, Lays, and Stukex will have control of prison for the time being. That's right now. Blink of an eye, Enigma. We went from a lot of our squads still in this lobby down to 7. Only 2 more need to drop for us to be into that 1.4 times multiplier. And already this battle at prison continues to rage on. Decky right on the outside. Prodigy is here. We'll throw a bit of a shoulder. Shots will start going on in. The Lays is here, currently already on 7, finding a lot of success. Just a lot of lethals getting thrown by each of these teams on the other side. And Prodigy, he's might have made this read that there's a player down below. If you can manage to find StukeX, you could go ahead, bring it towards their teammates at the back. But it looks like they've gone for the low road right now, and they might be able to sneak on forward Rock for the time being.
Yeah, patient play out of them trying to pick and choose their fights, and you will execute in this moment here. Find Lays, so your patience will pay on off with one. You've got to back up. You get yourself stuck trying to get through the scaffolding. Teammates trying to interrupt to support, but the ninjas in pajamas, they will push up off the back of that fight. Prodigy will have coverage from Wards, does have a self as well, but I don't know if the coverage is going to last for long enough, and the answer is no. Every kill at the minute, incredibly important to Rock. They came into this map less than a point off of qualifying for Riyadh. We do, of course, have one more map after this, but you don't want to be looking up as we head on into it. For Ninjas in Pajamas, they've just done what they do. Clear out that north side of the map, slowly rotate in, find moments to clear up anything around Prison Courtyard, and now have seized Water Tower control. And as the circle pushes teams away from Prison, that'll let them catch them rotating beneath.
Yeah, I mean, you actually have Ninjas in Pajamas right now have like basically made a line in the sand saying, hey, all these teams, Prison, good luck moving forward past us because we are going to have you in our sight. Meanwhile, ELF on the other side, they're just making control chemical like you mentioned and just really not letting anybody move from that bioweapon side on over. You can see Fnatic going ahead, having this fight already still at bioweapon. Zakar tries to get away, is not going to be there, and Exian is there for the trade or is trying to manage to get there, but it's not going to be enough. Kadzu, with a pistol in hand, has been able to answer on back. So at least for right now, the aim assist abusers, they're able to stay alive. Fnatic, it's a 2v2. Resurgence is definitely closed. That's there. This battle on bio is going to be massive. Asian drops on down, trying to be able to find one. You see the back on up, trying to be able to get that buy on in. They managed to make it on happen. 3v3 as Fnatic and the aim assist abusers just continue to fight here at bio. But on the other side of the map, we're seeing Rock and Nip go ahead, have a little bit of fights. Decky, StukeX, and Lays just trying to stay alive, make a rotation on into zone. But if you're ELF, you get this zone pull, you're feeling good. You're looking at the rest of the map saying, it's a feeding frenzy time. Let's make it happen, boys.
Yeah, huge fights on our screen here, by the way. This is the team in 7th and 8th coming into... Sorry, 6th and 7th coming into this map. If you're Fnatic, you're feeling like you're in a decent spot, but not entirely comfortable. For aim assist abuser, this is absolutely everything that could give you a cushion to Rock Esports in behind, who we've spoken about doing a great job prison side. And Kadzu has gone massive to keep his team in the fight, allow them to stabilize, but you want to win this one to give you a clean rotation. Out next, Aizen pauses, fires. Aizen lines up with the LC-10, and as Fnatic tried to cross, Patsuka's cleaned on up. That's going to bully them up towards the chem side of things, and Prodigy will activate for Rock then to find a kill on Fnatic as well. So both teams that needed points, finding them on the team above them.
And look at this, though. Echo, he's made the call. He sends some shots in deep. He sees somebody below them. Him and Lennon, they smell the blood that's there. They drop on to Enxi and Fnatic, eliminated from this lobby. Vision will manage to find FIFA kill in the process, though. But if you are, of course, this ELF roster, you are not worried about it. You have this buy station that's here. Hopefully you can get them back on in. Ninjas in Pajamas, Rock Esports continuing to battle it on out. As you can see, you got one player out in the gas, trying to make some type of play on here. But Prodigy and Vision, they're managing to hold on towards the top. It's a lot of duos, Enigma. I don't know if we have any full trios left in this lobby. We have 4 squads here, 8 players still remaining. It's everybody that's there. And Vision, he might make a type of play with the helicopter right now. Going up into the air. Echo, he's trying to get the shots on in. Can you manage to blow it on up? A risky strategy because you're going to have so many of these teams looking up at you. And it's just enough for Vision to get here, I guess, to give you the vision you need to get the buyback.
Yeah, Echo recognizes the potential problem here. If that just hovers in the air, you can find yourself in a great position towards the end. So he wants to gun it down, and Lennon will finish that off. So Vision's going to hit hard, hits the water at least, but a self-res in hand will only give him a couple of moments, surely. Prodigy creeps his way into Chem. It's going to be Team Decky, of course, that are still sniffing around. ELF are on the roof trying to catch those in below. A 3v1v2.
Echo, Lennon laying up on top. They have the high ground. You can see where this zone is pulling away. They could make an early jump if they needed to. Just to look on down below, you can see the layer cake that's about to happen. It's Prodigy that's still alive. Still just trying to not make a noise, not give away his position right now. And I like this. Echo kind of trying to throw a shoulder from this top side, trying to see if anybody's down below. Lennon, he might have spotted Decky that's here. So Decky, Stukex, and Lays, they're the only trio that's still alive, but you would not like to lose one of your players on this push. And that's exactly what Lennon is able to do. Shots on into the gas. You cut down Decky that's there, but on the bottom, you have Lays, finds Prodigy. Here we go, 2v2, drops on down. ELF, they are looking at the bottom here. It's not a great time to throw down a trophy. ELF, it's been seconds, it's been thirds all day long, but finally, in game number 7, they get the zone pull. They play it beautifully. Lennon goes massive, and they are able to secure the win.
Lennon has 18 kills. What that boy's been doing on this map, I don't know, but that absolutely frying. We tune into him there at the last second and see that he's on 17. Also gets one at the very end, and this squad have been tearing it up. We've spoken multiple times about just how good we're expecting this team to be. I remember we came into 2025, we went into the trials of Verdansk. It wasn't even that long ago, and you and me said, look, this team have so much potential, but it's either show up or blow up, and they went and put it on big time, winning 2 of the 3 days and looking damn good in the 3rd as well. But that was all big map. How do you look on Resurgence? Well, you get yourself through close qualifiers, but how do you look when everything steps up in quality, when you start fighting the very best? Well, they have one of the greatest minds here in Echo. You've got yourself FIFA Kill, who is a veteran of the space, and in Lennon, you and me stood there in Vegas last year and talked to him directly and said, you're a superstar waiting to emerge, a phoenix waiting to rise from the ashes, my friend. And 18 kills in a qualifier finals surely puts your team right towards the top spot. Gentlemen, start getting your passports ready, because Riyadh awaits, my guys.
Ooh, I think Lennon might have just put up more kills than some teams have total through 7 maps, and that is something to say. I mean, a couple of our bubble teams really going huge in that game, my friend. I know that this leaderboard, everybody is going to have their eyes on it because we only have one final match here today. One last final break from us, folks. When we come back, we are getting a sense of the landscape as we get ready to head on into our final map of the EU close qualifiers. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The last final map of the EU Closed Qualifier. 7 teams have fought their way to be here and are looking to go to the Esports World Cup on LAN in Riyadh. I'm Dandro, that's Enigma. We got to break down all of the action that has happened so far today, my friend, because it has been an absolute emotional roller coaster, that is for sure.
It has, indeed. From the very start to the bitter end, our teams have been drawing blood, exchanging blows, but of course it's settling those 7 places that we are so focused on today. And well, Map 7 was a beauty, of course. We had all of these teams coming online. It felt like if you were Rock Esports in particular, with them starting to push out more aggression, is what we kind of felt like they were lacking in those first couple of maps. They were holding that prison side, but not seeing enough of the thick of the fight. And then when they did step out, having their heads ripped on off. Instead, now it feels like that they've recognized they need to step it up, starting to put pressure on all these other places around them and cutting teams down as they rotate.
Well, you can see, obviously, some of that success resulting. 13 kills, 18.2 points for Rock Esports. ELF, though, we watched Lennon. He ended with 18. 7 points from your teammates brings you a nice, even 40 points on the board. Probably the biggest game we have seen all day that is there. But yet again, I've been saying this the last couple maps, man. We're seeing some of these teams that really needed to step it on up. They're finally able to. Glad to see Fnatic. They come back swinging 15.6 points. Will do a great job securing their spot. But as I look towards the right, man, Gentlemates with 0. Onyx, I thought it was 0 in the middle of the map, but it's still only a singular point. Novo Esports with 2.4. A couple of these teams who need to step it up in this last final chance they have. Let's take a look at that overall ranking to get a better idea of who is sitting where as we get ready to head on into the last point. Rock Esports, man, they've been able to get on up here, Enigma. They're only ahead of Aim Assist Abuser by 0.8 points. And what's more surprising to me is that the Gentlemates, they've slid on down to 6th. They're only, 10 points ahead of Rock and Aim Assist Abuser. If they don't have a good game, and both Aim Assist Abuser and Rock have a really fantastic game, they are actually in potential contention of not making it to the Esports World Cup. But it's a lot. It's a lot to ask, right? I mean, this 5th down to 7th, man, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think for Gentlemates, this is going back to their initial landing strategy. They're wanting to play out a stronghold. They're dropping their anchor in there and sending a couple players on the hunt. And this is the Falcon strat of last year, and it's a case of, okay, well, do you have 2 players that can do what Biffle and Shifty do? I don't think anyone in the world can say that. So you're putting a lot of pressure on 2 players initially. Then it's a case of, okay, well, if the circle comes towards you, do you have a way of going out, getting kills, then coming back towards you? I don't think they fully figured that one out. And then if we're getting over to the other side of the map, what does that look like? Well, the big problem they have is anyone landing tents in headquarters recognizes that the Gentlemates are going to be coming. They're looking for them on the way, and they're just backing off. They're just like, okay, well, we don't want to fight you. They've caused too much fear on that part of the map, so they're not seeing the engagements they want on their terms, and as such finding so much trouble, and they can't afford any more here because 10 points easily surmountable. They must figure it out. So many more. One last chance, ride or die, gentlemen.
Oh, well, I think what kind of dealt with a lot of them was exactly the fact that the zone pulled away from them, but they finally get one that lands on top, and already feet touch the ground and people are bringing the energy. I'm seeing 2 members of Onyx immediately deleted here as we get ready to hop on in to map number 8, my friend. Taking a look, of course, and well, Fnatic with this zone pulling a little bit more on the south side. Here they are. They're back at Factory, trying to be able to bring it to Team Decky. And so far, we've seen this in 3 maps here today. It hasn't been successful in any of them. Was anything changed between those maps and here when your tournament life is on the line?
Nice. Holds for a second. The Germans above, Fnatic just around the corner, assessing when to push in for this fight. We know how much this next set of fights could mean for Pentagon, for Fuzzin and Melvin. Pentagon's going to get aggressive, but you're being baited on in, and well, at least you do have your teammate. Melvin's going to swing wide, help out clean it, it lays. Melvin then pushing up further, but you're going to know that this is actually Fnatic, and Melvin goes, so does Pentagon. Fuzzin, your anchor has stayed up safely in living quarters. That will do for now, but one of those moments you got to reset, go again. You need points. You don't have time to waste.
And well, continuing the battle on a headquarters side, it's going to be Vanitos, it's going to be Heeds. They are still managing to butt heads at this POI, and it just feels like Vanitos has been the victor every single time. And you can see Freddy is moving on forward, nice and laying here at the top in wait, trying to find anybody pushing on up. On the ladder is there. He'll make you pay for it. Blade gets cut on down, but that'll be the information that you need from the squad. Nice and hoping to drop on down, get some of this loot if possible, but you tend to take this fight. Fuzzin is there to bring you on down. Him and Freddy, he doesn't have a self-revive. Freddy, he's trying to go for it, and he's just out of the line of sight.
Manages to throw himself into a corner. Plates go in at least. He said just a weapons locker, but yeah, you're going to decide instead. Scoop some of that loot off the body next to him. Pentagon spies Zags. Zags pushes out, and just about. Pentagon comes on through. Quick fix will let him recover as well, much quicker, avoiding that potential third-party situation. Just staying up, trying to be a bit of a thorn in the side for a couple of these teams and let his squad recover elsewhere. It's all you can do right now. You must see the end game of this map, really, if you're this team, to stand a chance. And look elsewhere. So much of the landmass, by the way, being handed on over to Gentlemates, but nobody wants to fight them. No one's even close.
I mean, it's just Vanitos. It's Pentagon, Melvin, and Fuzzin. It's Heeds. It's just these three teams fighting each other at headquarters, and for a good reason. This POI is going to be in the zone for a very long time, given where we are. So if you can manage to control it, you're going to be feeling very, very good. So can you land on in? Fuzzin, he's managed to back on up towards green. He's holding it for the time being. We see Yankio diving back on in, trying to play up a little bit of a side. Gromalok on the outside, though. He's managed to surge on forward. He's found Melvin. The Gentlemates, I think they have this realization. If they can take this green, this is huge. Hollow, HDR in hand, down at the stronghold, trying to provide some oversight, trying to provide some look from above as Gromalok starts weaving his way underneath.
Hallow watching on over. Fuzzin will actually crack Hallow, back him down for a moment, then he turns, assesses the tower where King Chalk is actually got a player above him, like right on the very top, which is interesting. And Kyo cleaned up. Pentagon will be rezzed. Gromalok's actually decided to push on over into living quarters deeper here. Enough to fight indeed for that green. We're just taking a quick look here at the minimap as teams decide to rotate on down. Vanitos on our screens. These guys must have a big game, or they're quite simply not making it. This has to be one of those that we know they are capable of, one of those absolute pop-off moments. Otherwise, we will not be seeing them in Riyadh.
Yeah, they have to go huge. Currently sitting on 72.4 points, and already we've seen them be very active, so they have the kills, but it's about being able to snowball that, of course, deeper into the lobby and get there into that multiplier. But obviously this team that's on your screen has been the thorn in their side. Feels like we haven't really seen Vanitos as a 3 really be able to try and take this fight. It's been a series of solos and duo fights that they're there constantly, always having somebody regaining. On the other side of the map, though, Rock, they've moved on down to the ammo shack, and it's a little bit of a fight against ELF. You can see, I think there's only one player alive, and that might be FIFA Kill. You see one more finally get brought back on in, thanks to that resurgence that's there. And Vanitos on this outside towards Grandma's. They're already yet again in a fight against Heeds, and it's a trade 1-for-1.
The fact that King Chalk finds a kill there, by the way, is absolutely ridiculous. Incredible technical gun skill from the 19-year-old. Yes, and dives in through the window, and we get a look at a couple of different squads for a moment, but it's back on with Freddy, Vanitos, and the SC continuing to just scrap for the tower building. Heeds is just going to sit at the top and continues to bring his teammates back into the fight over and over again, not going away. The Italians, they're cleaning him off, and you can't let that happen. Sticks around for too long. If you are King Chalk, tries to recover the situation, instead gets it all wrong. Then a PA comes over the top. That's Chalk. That's Nielsen. Doesn't survive. He falls, and we won't be seeing them in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, heartbreaker right there. You miss the landing on your player up top, and you're not able to get the revive, and just like that, Nielsen gets found on out. It's been a rough day for them overall, but that is not how you want your final map to end. So, and unfortunately for Vanitos, though, guess what, Enigma? They fought so hard against that team. They find them out, they root them, they eliminate them just for who to move on in. Team Lipton is in the area and is trying to maybe cause some commotion. You got Lipton on top of the prison. Looking down below you, that's there. And SV has been able to take control of that tower. now will be the player to sit towards the top. As it seems like now that we've lost a couple of squads, we will be sort of turning down the pace just for a moment.
The Germans have decided actually they're going to fight for stronghold control here. And the reason they moved away from so many drop spots in the past is because they didn't want to take on Gentlemates, and they do it together here. Pentagon's going to try and get aggressive. Unfortunately, you don't find the time, but you read that Halo's coming in through the backside. So you turn it into a 2v2 at the least. Enkyo going to have to try and send away from this. He doesn't really have the tools to fight. Gets caught out from the timing, and that will then leave Gromolok in a situation where he's desperately trying to recover his squad.
You see Pentagon immediately jumps on out. Just don't want to leave any opportunity for Enkyo to stay alive. We'll go ahead and get that full. Fuzzinyo, while you have your teammates battling it out down at Stronghold, he's kind of sit here top green, HDR in hand, to try and get some of those shots down range. And to be honest with you, Enigma, he's kind of got full free range. Nobody's in tents, nobody's in living quarters. It's you have Decky, Stukex, and Lays down over there in factory, and you got a couple squads up in prison, but he can kind of really focus his attention on over towards control. There's a lot of teams that are trying to regain here in our last final game, and very few that seemingly are all three up and in a position to ride out the rest of this lobby.
Start to assess what they have for the rest of this fight as Gentlemates continue to struggle here. Stukex dives into the water to find Hollow. Oh, SV is actually going to get tagged up by that PA. Thankfully not by the second wave, but, well, that's not going to lead to much in the way of reassurance because teammates are not here to support. Pentagon tried to take the helicopter on up. Going to have to dive in. Just desperately trying to clear out the Gentlemates. They recognize that this is one of the teams in their fight. Enkyo gets knocked as well. So is Gromot last up? No, you get Halo. Never. I mean, you're in a spot here as a trio. Gentlemates staring down the barrel a little bit.
I'm just surprised. Pentagon was following Grom in the water. And doesn't, I don't know if he doesn't see him. Does he not want to shoot? Does he want to not, make his position be known? I'm not entirely sure, but with that, we see Gromolok's been able to get away there, and coming on in, Hollow says, hey buddy, I'll join you for a nice little swim. I understand it's summer. Like you and I both know Riyadh gets pretty hot, and this might be the opportunity you need to cool off a little bit if you are the Gentlemates. For Novo, it's been a rough couple of maps that are there, but for the time being, you're managed to control this boat side. You find one flying on in. You cut them on down. Everybody trying to vie for some sort of positioning on the boat and up here towards control. Cams and Javi looking to play this inside. Venitos, they want to gain some of this position. We see Blade throw a little bit of a shoulder on the inside though. The shots are a little bit too good. Cams, he spines one, but the trades are coming on in. You're getting lost in the sauce in this smoke. You try to hop on out. You have the self-revive, and you see Javi's there to cut down Blade. Two teams fighting at both of these POIs right now. As the zone starts clutching these teams together, we're about to see more squads drop.
Huge fight here because this squad, VDAT's team, are going to be the one that are hanging 8.8 points outside of getting on through at the start of this map. And Rock Esports, they're a full 3. They're rotating in against Novo. They're fighting for the control center. They've had a smooth rotation in, really, but this is going to be a tough test for them that they must come out on top of if they want to make it to the STC arena. Vortex pushes, Vortex! And it goes crazy. There's explosions, blast traps, and bullets absolutely everywhere. And well, Rock Esports will be sent packing, but at the exact same time, aim assist abusers are out of here.
This is going to come down to the wire here. Gromolok finding more kills as well. Gentlemates, they're still alive. Only one more team needs to fall till we are in our 1.4 times multiplier. And you can see Fnatic, they are just looking at the water right now. They see so many of these teams that are on out here. Fuzzin is still out here. Patsuka finds Gromolok in the water. That's Gentlemates taken on out. But Novo, they've come on over. They hear these shots. They take down 2 members of Fnatic. It's just Zakar that's here on the boat, and he's on the outside of the zone. So when it comes to who's still in here, you have Decky, Stukex, and Lays making their way on over from tents. You have Novo at control center. Those are our only 2 trios that are still alive. It's those 2 trios and only solos that are there, one of them being Fuzzin, and he's found on out.
Zakar will, well, pot shots from Javi, who has 14 kills, incredibly. Will burn Zakar, will continue to harass Zakar, but Vortex, he's rotated on over towards the tents, where there's going to be a member of Rock Esports, which Wars, I think, still in the fight. He does find himself a loadout at least, so some tools to set himself up for the final. 7 kills on the board. This is the team that were in 7th coming into this. It feels pretty good for them, but for Novo, as you try and assess this fight, you're worried about this other 3 on the other side.
Last final map of the qualifiers. This is do or die for some of these teams. For Team Decky, they've been great all day long. And for Novo, they will be able to cut down wars. It's now a final 3v3 between these 2 squads over towards the tent sides. It's everybody squaring on up. Cams will be first to drop. Vortex is there for the trade, though. Zone coming on in. You see all 3 members of the team. They're out into the gas. They're trying to push on forward. Novo, it's Javi. He's the last one alive. Can he make it happen? No, he cannot. Decky, Stukex, and Lays send you off with a little bit of a parting gift for winning map number 8. They come on through, and I think to a lot of people's surprise, absolutely dominate the day.
Definitely the team most impressive through the day. The most consistent squad that seems to have a plan that, despite facing numerous contests, despite facing numerous zones that they had to rotate in towards, had an answer to absolutely everything. Team Decky, a surprise to everyone here. An incredible day indeed. Of course, we'll tally up all the scores and find out exactly where they sit at the end. They had a hell of a jump to make up ELF after their banger in map 7, quite frankly. But still, I think that that's the squad that I'm looking at right now and going, God damn, fellas, way to make a point about how good you are. I know you and me didn't have this team getting on through necessarily, but they make it. They will be there. It's all, of course, then around where 6th, 7th, and 8th set themselves up, because I think everyone else beneath there did not have the game that would have got them anywhere near the points required.
No, this is really fun, man. I mean, we obviously had a little bit of a shelf, right? We had a number of teams who really pulled away from the pack that really kind of locked on in a couple of our top spots, right? If I think about going into that map, really it was top 4, right? It was Novo in 4th with 120.8, and then it was a gap down on in to Fnatic, who was in 5th, right? So a little bit of a sort of top 4 situation happening, which means it's really about those final 3 spots. I will say, great job to Gentlemates. We said, hey, they needed to have a really fantastic game if they wanted to really ensure, because they were slipping as the day went on. I think they probably did enough in that last game. We saw Fnatic with a number of kills as well. They were in a similar boat, but I think it's going to come down to that final spot, man. It's been all weekend long, every single region, whether you're sending 1 team or 2 teams. When we talk about the cutoff, it's always been by such a small margin, and I think EU might go the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're right. You and me have sat and watched. We've been into pretty much every qualifier map, just finding out who's the surprise story? Have the favorites been unfolded here? And it's just like, so often we've been like, oh my God, this comes down to everything in the final fights. I think in this one, you do have Rock Esports step up that aggression that you and me asked for early on. It felt like they got off to that really slow start. And I was like, okay, how can you make this prison landing work for you? And it felt like, all right, they started to understand where they could go out and start to harass a couple of these teams that were rotating around them. Did a far better job. And there's a moment in that where they push out to Control to fight against Novo. And they're in this like back and forth for a moment, suddenly lose 2 players, and an exact heartbeat later, you see the aim assist abuser are wiped. Could that be the story of our entire qualifier right there? Could that be what settles our 7th and final spot?
Yeah, I mean, what we also saw, Pentagon, Melvin, and Fuzzin, right? They were also having a lot of aggression very early on, and they were a team that was kind of just on the outside looking in. I don't know, man. I mean, if they had a lot of kills and they were able to get a decent multiplier there, that could also be another team we see squeaking it on out. I mean, it's going to come down to just finding out, you know, kind of how did teams perform in this last final match? Did they get the kills they needed? Because that's really is going to be the difference maker, right? It's kind of the fun part about our whole format here with Rebirth Island, right? When we talk big map, it's like we're talking 2.0 and then 1.8. It's like, no, it's either 1.6 or 1.4, and it really comes down to obviously how many of those kills you can get. We're got one last final more minute till we get those stats on in, ladies and gentlemen. But man, playing through 8 maps here today, it was a wild ride along the way. Some of our favorite teams not really being able to do what they need to do, and we had some fantastic newcomers. What was one of the biggest surprises of the day for you, my friend?
I think I've got to lean back on Team Decky as one of them, but I'll try and not stick too obvious to that. I think it's a case for Gentlemates of just, you've got to go and reassess what's going on here. I don't doubt that they're getting through to Riyadh, but I just think that they will expect far more. I know that we as a region most certainly do. And I think that today they found out that while their strategy is a good one and has clearly gotten them to a point, they were top of closed qualifiers after all. I think when the quality of the lobby goes up, and it will even more so to a ridiculous temperature in Riyadh, I think it's a case of, okay, this strategy of roaming around as a 2, having your anchor up miles back, I think there's only one team in the world that can pull that off, and it's the one you're trying to emulate. I don't know if this is going to be what gets you into the top end of the conversation once we talk about on land. So I think for them, it's just reassessing their plan if they want to be up there fighting with your ELF, Ninjas in Pajamas, and so on, and being real contenders.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fantastic call out, because like you said, it's one thing to take a strategy that you know works and make it your own and find some success with it, but like you mentioned, it's one thing if it's maybe another team in your region or a mid-pack team from another region. No, you're trying to emulate the strategy of the best Warzone team in the world, who won Esports World Cup last year, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, listen, if they try and stick to their guns on land, I know you and I will be cheesing the entire time watching Falcons versus Gentlemaids. That's a little bit of a rivalry that goes back a long, long time. That will be very fun to see, but I totally agree with you that I'd like to see them hit some VOD review, come up with a secondary maybe drop spot that was there. That's something that I think we saw Fnatic doing to mild success. I think the times they were landing factory, they just never actually figured out how they wanted to take the fight against Decky, Stukex, and Lays. And if they managed to do that, hey, that now becomes very, very dangerous. But to your point also as well, so yes, you have the 2-1 playstyle, but a team that we saw just basically running around as 3, really what I like to call the death ball man, Ninjas in Pajamas all day long, shooting straight, taking down team after team. I think that is a strategy that more teams really need to look at.
Yeah, 100%. I love it because it felt like as well that they were never really in trouble. With so many of our teams that did have great days today, there were still moments where they had to really recover in things. And I think only ELF and Ninjas in Pajamas can sit there and be like, well, the vast majority of the time, actually, we were just laying siege to other teams. Like, we were completely fine. I love that you make the call out around Fnatic, the fact that they're landing bio. They do not seem to have an understanding about how to push Chem at all. And they've got a couple of questions to answer there. But they're a great point in the sense of, like, they have alternate drop spots. And I think this is something that Gentlemates are going to need to find. And it's something that we have praised them for in the past when it comes to big map. Last year, they had that alternate spot all the way up in the Kotovo blocks, and it helped them out when the zone was completely against where they wanted to play out of. And I think now that they've got time, I'm going to put out a bold statement here and say that they should be in Riyadh. And if they've now got a good window to sit and go, okay, Resurgence, let's practice it. Let's increase the depth of our playbook here to give us a greater opportunity, rather than trying to rotate from literally one side of the map to the other against the best teams in the world.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I noticed was that there were a couple teams where they were very zone dependent, right? I think Gentlemates is one of them, right? Where when the zones pulled off Stronghold, they did not look good. When they got Stronghold in the zone, hey, they were absolutely frying. They were doing a great job. And I think you just have to look as a team and be like, okay, obviously when this zone pulls away from us, we are not a good team. And I'd like to see a couple of those squads make that realization that if you're going to play one of these ends of the map, okay, what is going to be your strategy? Do you just stick to that one POI? Do you make an understanding of where some of these teams do like to play, where they kind of like to push on out? Because like you mentioned, I mean, Fnatic having both 2 drop spots, it's great, but I almost like I said, would have loved to just see them kind of land bio every single time. And it felt like that's what they did kind of towards the back. And then it was only in that final game where, okay, they kind of switch it back up to land back factory. That's there. So if you are sort of the Gentlemates, if you are Fnatic, if you are any of these teams, really figure out how to play your POI. That is going to be so crucial. Because like you mentioned, even if you make it through here today, the lobby intensity only goes up week over week when we get ready to head to Riyadh.
Yeah, well, it does indeed, and every single mistake that you make will be punished further, and as such, you've got to just absolutely be on your game. Of course, they've got time to make that happen. I think other surprises, I continue to be absolutely stunned by the growth that ELF have in them. They continue to show up big time, and well, my friend, let's see just how much they showed up, and also who will be making it on through to Riyadh, because ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves some leaderboards here, and it's going to be settled by about 15 points in the end, so not as close as many of our other regions, but it will actually be the Gentlemates in the final spots, holding on by a thread. And if I go back to biggest surprise of the day, I think I'm walking away with that one.
Yeah, we are on board with that for sure. But we got to give some hype to our teams that absolutely performed all day long. ELF, they will claim the #1 spot. But there you go. Your 7 teams making it to Riyadh. ELF, Ninjas in Pajamas, Team Decky, Novo Esports, Fnatic, Rock Esports, and the Gentlemates will be there. For some of these teams, it's a return to the STC arena. For others, well, it'll be a fresh, brand new start, a new experience to make their name that is there. But Enigma, that's 8 games done and dusted. It was an absolute wild ride. Every single game that was there. I know you and I were very excited for the games that we had here today. Give me some kind of final thoughts on our 8 games today as a whole.
I know that we've talked about this a lot through this year, but it feels like Warzone is continuing to step up in level when it comes to our talent, when it comes to everything that we've got going on here. So many players now recognizing the opportunities that they have in front of them with the Esports World Cup. And as such, I think that we've seen another shining example of just how much depth of talent we have in the region and what that means when we start to put them up against the best from every other region. Brother, I can't wait to find out. It's been an absolute blast, of course, alongside you and with the incredible production team we've had behind us. The players certainly delivered, and well, that's just closed qualifiers. We've got a lot more for the EWC to deliver in Warzone just yet.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been fantastic to watch all of the qualifiers happen all weekend long. But don't worry, friends. There's still one more coming your way today. That is North America at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, roughly 3.5 hours from now, no matter where you are in the world. So that'll be our final 7 teams booking their ticket to the Esports World Cup. It's been fantastic being alongside all of you here today. Congratulations to our 7 teams making it on through. But that's all we have for you here. So I'm Dandro, that's Enigma, and we will see you in Riyadh.